Doop-a-doo. We got no mads, we got no culture.
Listen to this.
Yeah, and it's not as loud.
It's not.
I know, he fixed it.
It almost kind of feels weird. It feels
I'm
raw.
not-
I couldn't even hear it at all.
I feel so loud myself right now.
Yeah, it needs to go back to being loud.
I know, I'm a little messed up by this.
It was fun when we had to scream over it. It's still cute though.
Yeah, he does a good job. And then, wait, tell me if the, going from the countdown to, like, the opening is too long. There we go. We needed that.
Here we go.
I don't have to, like, switch it over anymore.
So what is this part?
This is, like, waiting for the, I guess, the intro music?
Do you have to press something? Or?
No, he just did it this way, but then he just drops the sound, and it just, there you go. There you go.
He enjoys the green glow on the flames.
He really does.
Dramatic.
Still old school. Look at that old Jane Theory one. Isn't that yours there? That's like your original, isn't it?
Yeah, it
It's
is.
such an old school icon.
I like this one.
I do too. I like the beat.
Nerd cookies.
Nerd cookies. I gotta get her back on. She hasn't been on in a while. She is blowing up. A lot of people are blowing up. Look at our boy George, who will be on the show later. George is killing it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Confirmed George is a murderer. That's what we're saying. Oh.
I feel so pathetic. I have like no video over 4,000 views, and he's like dropping videos with 50,000 views in a day. But I'm not jealous of George.
But his are so detailed. Like, it was
So good.
Fun.
So good. I throw my shit together. He actually thinks.
Yeah, but you're beating him in the shorts game, so
I am. I got to bring up my shorts game. My shorts game's got to. I got to get a little
pull up
farther.
them
with
shorts.
Got to yank them shorts up. Old school
get
style.
the shorts.
Shorts.
Get that wedgie.
Yes. Got to just wedge it up and just go for it. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Saturday edition of The Dump. We have a killer panel with us tonight. We have the lovely Jane Theory. How are you tonight?
Hello, doing great. Happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. We have the fantastic Mark with a C. What's going on, my man?
Yay. Feeling good. Top of the world, ma.
Top of the world, ma. Say hello to my little friend. Different movie altogether, but for some reason they connect. It works. It does. And then we have the Aussie heavy metal got Judas Priest lookalike, Mr. Grant Gregory.
Ahoy there. How's
Ahoy.
everyone doing?
Ahoy, sir. So I just started watching The Batman. Don't ask how, but it's blurry. But I'm watching it. But did anybody else get a chance to see The Batman?
Are we talking about a Batman or the Batman?
The Batman.
The
Batman.
The
Okay.
Batman.
Yeah, I'm seeing the Batman tomorrow at the
nice.
movies. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, you loved it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had the same problem. I was trying to watch it, but my glasses were very foggy as well, so it kept going in and out of focus.
Yeah.
And then because I had a lot of people over at my house at the time, people were walking in front of my screen and speaking Arabic, just the usual problems that I was running into. So,
They want me to play some type of slot machines. Like, I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, I know. My friends are terrible gambling addicts, but yeah. So I thought, all right, I'll go to the cinema again, because that's where I was when this all happened later on.
Right. Of course, the cinema.
Yeah.
I've watched about 40 minutes of it, and I have to say I'm enjoying it so far. That's all. We're no
I'm hearing
spoilers.
some good things from people I trust.
I
Yeah,
can tell
that's
you
good.
what, they nailed the world.
The world is
building
dope.
Absolutely the best I've seen.
Yes, you feel like you're in what Gotham should be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Close. Like, it's like a vibe of Tim Burton, but with reality, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe
It's
that's
gritty. It's everything that a lot of
That's
the critics hate.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so it's going to be worth it, I think. I'm going to watch the rest after this and maybe do another 15 shorts on it. So stay tuned for my 15 seconds of fame.
Now,
but because
this is ignited the age-old debate of who is your favorite Batman.
A lot of people.
So this is going to say a lot to me, now that you guys have seen it.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen all of it.
So far, does he crack your top 3?
Ooh. All right, so we're just talking movies since the Burton era.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Well, no, because I always got to go back to Adam West.
Yeah, Adam West. I put him in his own category.
Live action or animated as well? Because there have been animated movies.
Yeah, the animated. I can't even put that because a lot of the animated are my favorite Batmans.
Yeah, let's just keep it live.
Yeah, we'll keep live action.
Okay, well then I'll take Kevin Conroy off my list then.
Yeah, dude. Please.
Yeah, well, we all know that Kevin Conroy is the man.
Yeah. Let's see. That's a tough one, man. I used to really like Christian Bale until years went on, and then I realized I didn't like him as much as I thought I did. I just liked the more realistic take of the world.
The movies were awesome, but
yeah. I think the movies made him better. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think he his Batman. Like, the movie itself, always made him better. The actors around him, but so I always will love Keaton. I really like Affleck. I'm gonna hot take, but oh my god, I just blanked on his name. The guy Clooney. From no, Real Geniuses. Oh god, movie Real Geniuses. Top Gun.
Top Gun.
He played Iceman.
Val Kilmer.
I liked Val Kilmer's detective side.
I liked Val Kilmer.
Yeah, I think he was just in a more cheesy movie than he should have been.
But it was very Batman-y. Well,
yeah.
That type of Batman.
Right. The direction they were going. I have to say he's definitely better than the neoned Batmans we have gotten after Keaton. So I think I would go Affleck, Keaton. Adam West to me is in his own world. And then I would go as so far, Batterson or whatever we want to call him.
Okay.
What about you, Jane?
I mean, Batfleck is definitely number one, hands down.
Yeah.
Forevermore, probably.
Agreed.
Keaton or Kilmer. That's a tough one because I do like them both. Actually.
I really do. Yeah.
So those would probably be the next two in either order.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pattinson would be fourth. So he wouldn't crack the top 3 for me because I still feel he's in a different category, kind of.
Yeah.
He's not really fully Batman yet.
It's a different type of movie. And yes, it's year 2. I haven't seen enough of the movie yet to make a really solid
he's
decision.
Learning. There's stuff he does. It's just so funny to me.
Yeah.
They show him sort of making mistakes too. And I love that part of it.
See, that's good though. It's year 2. It should be like that.
He's developing.
To me right now, and I haven't watched enough of the movie, but the Batman is him. He has to learn how to use the mask of Bruce Wayne. To me, the anger, the rage, the guilt is everything.
The vengeance.
Right the vengeance. That does bother me that he says
and that's hinted at here. That advice or that, you see that sort of veil beginning to slip over him, him beginning to understand that.
How important it is to be Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
I heard a rumor that he's never ever referred to as Batman, or he never refers to himself as Batman in the entire film. Is that true?
I think they say it at the very beginning. I don't think he refers to himself.
I don't think he refers to himself as Batman, but I don't think you would.
I see in the in the chat
every
there,
Batman has the line, "I'm Batman."
I am Batman. Yeah, but he doesn't say that.
What about in the chat has my concern? He says Pattinson has the worst Bruce Wayne, and
he does.
That's actually something going into it because Bruce Wayne, I've always understood Bruce Wayne to actually be the mask. You know what I mean? Like Batman is who he becomes once his parents are killed. But Bruce Wayne, he has to pretend. It's almost like in Joker when he says the thing about being insane is that people expect you to act like you're not.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Bruce Wayne has mastered the art of acting like he's not.
Right.
So he's supposed to be this billionaire playboy, and
right.
no one would ever guess. But from what I'm seeing with the trailer and everything, I'm like, you would immediately be like, how about Bruce Wayne? He could be that. You know
he hasn't gotten there yet. He hasn't severed off that personality yet.
I agree with you on that, though. But that's the thing where I'm seeing at the beginning, like, Alfred trying to tell him you need to care about being Bruce Wayne, and he's pretty much like, I don't care. So like it's a little different take, because a lot of the lore is he becomes Batman, but he's already that pretending to be that playboy billionaire. I feel like this one is showing you by year 2 he's trying to learn to be Bruce Wayne.
Right. We need a sort of like a dichotomy, like someone like Dexter. Right. He can, when eyes are looking, this is the character. As soon as there's no one looking, he's back to quote unquote his real self. And I still don't think. I think the closest that we ever got was probably with Christopher Nolan's trilogy, or Batman Begins mainly. But apart from that, it's really hard to see a good Bruce Wayne story, because people don't really care about that. They want to see Batman use his gadgets, kick the shit out of the bad guys, do all that sort of stuff. Where I think that one thing that we've been screaming for years is give us a good quality Batman series, so we can flesh out the Bruce Wayne character, so we can have, you can have a difference between, like, when you look at Clark Kent and Superman, they are two different people. Everything about them is different.
Yes.
But for some odd reason, it never seems to translate between Batman and Bruce Wayne, and I never understood that. That's how
important it is. It is so important.
I think a lot of people just don't understand that, or they don't understand how to portray that duality in the character. They just don't know how to get that across on screen. Because even with Batfleck, I mean, his Bruce Wayne has sort of merged into his Batman a little bit too. He doesn't quite totally flesh them out as two different identities.
But he's at the other end as well. Like,
right.
Patterson is so new to it.
Exactly.
And Batfleck's like, I'm done with it. It's 22 years or something.
Right.
I think they said it's been Batman. So it could easily be apathy by the end of it for... Right, because he's no longer the young and up and coming billionaire sort of thing.
Yeah, the best Bruce Wayne he does is at the museum or wherever, where he's trying to steal information, but Wonder Woman gets it, and he's talking to Clark Kent. He plays off that, been boozing my whole life, partying my whole life. I don't have a care in the world, until he starts getting questions that make him think Kent might know who he is, like. Bruce Wayne should always hide the rage.
Yeah.
And Affleck, because he's such a great actor, he wants to show you in his eyes that got the rage coming, but he should never show that. Like, maybe like walking away when no one's looking, you could show that, but you can't show it when you're talking to somebody. Like, Wayne is Wayne. There's no rage. He is a playboy who doesn't want to get involved in anything. And I think Christian Bale tried. He just wasn't good at it.
Yeah.
Even when Christian Bale's happy, he seems angry at you.
He does. It's like he always has a chip on his shoulder. No,
he's got that reputation, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's like, I'm buying the place. He's in like a little fountain with two like hot chicks, and he's like, I'll buy the place. I want to be Batman right now. You never get that.
Sorry.
Yeah, it has to be almost like Two-Face. He has to be like split personalities.
Yeah.
And I don't think that comes across great in the animated. It doesn't come across great live action yet.
Well, you really need a top tier actor to tackle Bruce Wayne Batman. People, they might look at this as a comic book movie, but that character is so complex.
Psychological, man.
And I'm really like, on my bucket list of movies, I really want to see the movie where he actually does take in Dick Grayson, take in Robin. Because that's got to be the deepest or even the darkest of the stories that there could be, because he has to relate to this kid who's almost living the same thing that he lived, and he has to take, and the fact that he's taking in a kid and trains him to do what he's doing. Can you imagine how crazy that story would play out dramatically?
Right. I mean, how nuts is Bruce Wayne to do that? Like, think, this is a child that he put himself through all this stuff, and now he's putting a child through it because he sees himself in that child. It's like you want to believe he's doing it for all the right reasons, but it's all the wrong reasons.
No, and that's the reason that literally that's been addressed in the comics. That was the reason why Robin was always so brightly lit. He was the distraction.
Yep.
While all the bad guys were looking at him and going to attack him. That's why he made him more agile. He didn't worry about strength training or anything like that. He's like, you don't need to be able to throw a punch. You need to be able to avoid a punch. That's the point. I mean, and that's a real dark thing, especially because he gets him at those teenage years. He's still a boy.
I think he's preteen. He's preteen. I want to say he's like 12, 11, 12. He's young.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and to see that out there, especially with someone who, I mean, especially with this sort of Batman, because from what I've been told, the way in which he treats Alfred and him have a really almost a disconnect with their relationship.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see what he would be like as the quote unquote father figure. Right. And if he would be able to learn from that, or if he would, sins of the father gets passed down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't think they could make that movie today.
Oof. That's a rough
the sad
one.
part about it. I think you're right, but that's so sad because it would be very, very fascinating, to see how that plays out. It would take the character to a whole nother level that we've never seen before.
Yep. I mean, it really is one of those things. I like how Betty Rubble was distraction for how horrible Barney was. I completely understand.
What?
I don't know. That's why I love it. I love it. And what's up, Becky? Good to see you. Good to see the chat. Thank you guys for being here. We got about 24 people. There's so many people streaming. So I appreciate you guys being here. I really do. I think that is a really interesting conversation. How I've been thinking about this all day. Where are superhero movies going? Because the only place I could see is either cookie cutter till they just stop making movies that anybody wants to see, or they have to really take these characters deeper.
I think they've been socially conditioning an entire generation to accept mediocrity. And all of the young superheroes who are getting their own little either television series or films represent that. I think they're so superficial from what we've seen so far, and just they have no depth, like what we were talking about before. Right. That it whatever they're doing and how they eventually pull them all together into these new series of films and stories, it's going to be what these kids gravitate to, because now they've been their minds have been shaped to accept it. It's just bizarre.
No, it is interesting. And I'm sorry, because I find this question very interesting. I'm curious, if you have seen a film, why do you watch YouTube reviews of it? Confirmation bias or something else?
I watch because I like to see other people's perspective. A lot of times people pick out things that you haven't seen or noticed.
Yes.
And it just adds it to your understanding of it.
Yeah, no. I think that's why I do it too. It could broaden your view on a movie that you're like, oh, that was okay. And then you're like, wow, I didn't see the depth in it because I don't know it as well as this person may have. That's why I like to watch it. I also like to see if people agree with me on that stuff, because I try to do reviews before I watch other people's stuff, because it always will mess with my mind. Like, I can't watch Gary. I can't watch just some guy. Like, there's certain people I can't watch because I'll be like, damn, that's exactly what I should say.
Right. Yeah.
Or you'll see something, and you're like, yes, my points were on that, and what I said makes perfect sense, and you're like, yep. And then you see someone else and they mention one thing, you're like, oh my god, that makes so much sense. Yep, my whole theory and everything is blown out the window.
Right.
Yeah. So there is, no matter who you look at, you're always going to pick up either a positive or negative. So if you want to do reviews, I would do it beforehand.
You got it.
And then do one maybe a month or two later, like a retrospective, after you've given time to think about it.
No, that's a good idea.
When I used to do reviews, I'd always have a much more favorable thing straight out of the cinema, even if it was an average film.
Every time.
Yeah. And it would and then, if I gave it a little bit of chance to think about it, even the next day sort of thing, I was just like, yeah, that wasn't a 7 out of 10.
Right.
How I tend to do it is I do my initial review, and then I go and I look at other reviews, particularly if they're the opposite opinion, and see sort of what they liked or what they didn't like, and then I'll go back and incorporate my response to that into my video. So critics don't like this thing, but I think it's better for this reason.
I gotta write this down.
That's kind of how I do it.
I gotta write that down. That's smart. How do you do it, Mark?
it's kind of like, when you're having sex and then after you ask her, was it good for you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You want to make sure you get a return engagement. Maybe there'll be a sequel.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like you want to make sure that you both enjoyed it, So I think with reviews, you want to see what other people were saying about what you saw. It's like sharing life. You don't want to go through life and it's just, it's like if you see a really nice sunrise or sunset, sometimes it makes you happy to know that maybe somebody else saw that too. Somebody else also has pictures in their camera roll of sunsets and sunrises. It's the part of the human experience. You want to share things.
Right.
Like when you're on a roller coaster, you love to hear other people screaming too.
It makes it way better. Being by yourself on a roller coaster just doesn't have the same effect. I get that. And I think it all became also really big to me was because like when I was watching Game of Thrones and after season 5, I thought it went really downhill. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no one agrees with me. Like everybody loves it. And I'm like, am I seeing something wrong here? Yeah. And even like fans of the books that I knew were like, no, it's great, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they kind of went off on this and they did this completely wrong. But like watching the slow decline of Tyrion and Jon's story, just, certain stories just going on forever for no reason. Like it wasn't until I found people like Gary and others where I was like, shit, I finally found people that like may disagree on some things, but like the main story beat, they understand why I'm not digging this show anymore.
Yeah, see, I was the opposite. I was the frog in the boiling water. I didn't notice it until season 7.
Right.
Because I enjoyed season 6.
Right.
And then 7, I'm just like, wait, so when did birds turn into Wi-Fi connections all of a sudden? And everything was just like, there was no scope anymore.
Right.
And then after I've gone back and I've seen 5, I see it straight away. The first 3 episodes of season 5 are terrible, but because it's like, oh my God, they're bringing Jon back, my favorite character. I thought this was great. This was good. I was happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's definitely, because I didn't read the books until after that.
Oh, gotcha.
Because I had nothing else to do. I was just like, okay. It's going to be 2 years since the next one comes out. I might as well read the book. And I'm like, oh, it's not out yet. Oh, don't worry. It'll be out next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, next year.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so I was one of those ones on the opposite sort of thing. So if you said season 5 was terrible, I would have went, dude, you're crazy. It's Game of Thrones. It's awesome. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't have seen it except retroactively going back and looking at it myself.
Right.
It's now terrible.
So I agree with that too. And I also agree with Becky here. Like I sometimes watch other people's stuff because I don't want to watch a show or like should I watch this show? Because it's not really something I'm into, and then you find out, oh, hell no, I shouldn't be watching this. So
and sometimes you'll love something. You just want to hear everybody talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I've had that happen too.
Right. That's true. That is definitely
true.
Take
The Last Jedi, for example. The Last Jedi pretty much set it off for a lot of us. Mm-hmm. And the reasons why is because you had the whole industry tell you that it was the greatest movie in the world. I never saw anything like that. You couldn't get an objective review at all for that movie. It was either it was a masterpiece or it was a incredible masterpiece. Nothing was critical. And then when somebody dared to be critical of the movie, then you were personified as racist and all this stuff, and they came after you. So the kind of a community was formed where people started saying, well, we do have the right to have an opinion. It wasn't just me who thought this movie sucked. When you turned on YouTube and you might have seen, whoever the YouTuber of your choice is saying that they saw the same thing that you saw, there's a validation there. And then the lines were drawn and the rest was history.
See, I agree.
It's been rinse and repeat ever since that. Yep. Every movie that's come out since then has been the same thing, especially the more they jam their identity politics into it. If you identify that correctly, then, you could be getting death threats. I mean, look at what's happening with Ryan.
It's their effort to silence people. It's like, if you can't, as so-called critics, be critical, then the rest of us are going to be.
Right. There are no film critics.
There aren't, not anymore.
You just brought something up there, Mark, and I kind of want to touch on this. Like, what did you guys think about this all-out assault on Ryan? And I'll try to find the tweet so I could show people, but it doesn't do it justice because, first of all, I think we all know Ryan. I feel like I've streamed with him a bunch of times. I met him. Like, I don't know him like a best friend or a buddy like that close, but I can't believe the route people are going to, I feel like, make themselves seen. Like how they're trying to burn him for something they took a piece out of a review that Jane and I were talking about in the back that, you know, he may had a point about, right, Jane?
Yeah, I mean, I think people need to stop looking at themselves sort of as being the center of everything. Okay. I think what Ryan was trying to say was that in this particular film, you see a consistency there with what you're seeing with the rest of Hollywood and how particularly white men, straight white men, that sort of archetype is being portrayed now, how that's being represented. Okay. Almost entirely in a negative light.
Right.
My point was that, and he did mention that the only Black characters in there basically are all in almost like hyper positive light, which is true. And it's not necessarily a good thing even for Black quote unquote representation, because it still shows, what it shows is one, the increasing bias against straight white men and straight men generally. But it's also showing a continuing bias when it comes to how they choose to write Black characters. They're still not getting it right. There's not the range. There's not the complexity. There's not the depth. So it's either going to be trash characters, like what we've seen throughout the history of Hollywood,
right?
Or it's going to be this thing where they try to put them all entirely on a pedestal. And neither one of those is helpful for storytelling. It's a problem either way. And I think that's what he was trying to get at. But I think he was looking at it from his perspective as a white male.
Which he can only do.
Which he can only do because a lot of times you don't see things that aren't directly affecting you personally. For me watching it, I'm seeing how the Black characters are being written from my perspective because that's what immediately jumps out at me. But either way, that is a legitimate point. And it's a point that every fan and every customer should be having a conversation about in terms of how, you know, what they're doing with these properties and what they're trying to shove down our throats. And it does show their incompetence in how they write, which goes to everything else that we generally talk about in this community. It's not just that. It's not just a racial thing. It's just they literally are going to the bottom denominator, basically, and how they characterize characters. They put you in a box and they write you a particular way. And that's
well, you can only be one of 3 or 4 things, basically, when it comes to a certain stereotype that they want to write a Black character in. You're either the first horror victim, you're the wise old sage person that gives the young white person gentleman, or you're the person who does nothing wrong and is completely virtuous. It doesn't make any sense. I love my characters. My favorite MCU character, not comic, but MCU character was Anthony Mackie's Falcon. I thought the reinterpretation was phenomenal. He was shown to be a broken man and build himself back up to that, to be as virtuous as Steve Rogers without having to preach it or anything like that. And I love the way in which he was not in the TV series. I'm talking about just in the movies. That's why I was so pissed off when Ant-Man beat him in that movie. That was like, no, that would never happen. Right. Not to Mackie. He would. But anyway, that's besides the point. What I'm saying with it is that's all they can do. They can only write that. And when Ryan was basically talking, he was talking to his audience that understood when he said those words that way exactly what he meant.
Yes.
He wasn't saying that to just to normies. He was saying that all they're doing with these characters is they're making, if you're a person of color, as they like to say in this film, then you automatically are good. There is nothing else you can be. You're already typecast and you're boxed into being this one thing over. No depth, no diversity of thought, of character. And I think that's where it got lost because he was preaching to his own choir.
Yeah.
And when when other people who don't understand exactly what he was saying
take that little clip out of context. Yeah. And Mark, like Ryan, I know the guy. He doesn't seem like he could be an ass, like, screaming and yelling and stuff. But when he's trying to get across, I believe Jane put it perfectly. And so did Grant. Like, the depth of characters isn't there anymore. So now, quote unquote, this new Hollywood idea is, all right, this group of people is bad, so we're just going to make this color and this gender bad. But if it's a black male, we're either going to make them, feminine or non-threatening. Dark-skinned women are angry, close to being lesbian, angry women. But light-skinned women are the sweet ones. Like, it is all color with these people and no depth of character. What do you think?
Yeah. No, well, yeah. I mean, if you're paying attention, there's no arguing that. That's for sure. Because if it was what they say it is, and that's celebrating diversity, well, I probably would feel a whole lot better than what I feel now. Because right now, I just feel like they're being condescending and downright insulting. And I think that tragedy that happened with George Floyd probably set a lot of that off, because people often cite that as the turning point. In the spirit of George Floyd. I mean, I've said it in plenty of my videos. The second coming of Jesus happened, and it was George Floyd, because he died for the sins of the world, apparently. And that's the way they use it. Right. So they put all of these characters out there, and they want to sing their own virtue, but nobody's getting anything out of it. Right. There's not been one memorable character to come out of these modern times that is diverse that way. Right. Like a legendary character that didn't exist as a different race before. Right. So they're like piggybacking off something that was already established. There's no creativity or anything like that. Yeah. So as a result of that, it kind of portrays Black people as just being feeders, and unfortunately that's always been the stereotype, that whole welfare thing. Just, we don't want ours, we want to take yours. Yeah. And when you used to have instigators, in the old South, when they had all of that unrest going on down there. And the instigators, that's how they used to recruit. That's how they used to recruit for the Klan and things like that. They would tell you, oh, they're coming and they're going to take your jobs. They're going to take your women. They're going to take your homes. They're going to take your land. And that's what we see now. Right. Here come the Black people. We're going to take your identity. We're going to take your tradition. We're going to take, your history. Right. They're knocking down statues. This is a dangerous way to think.
Absolutely.
No, but they get to financially benefit from it.
Yeah, that's they're true. Exploiting it.
That's true.
That's what they called it back in the 70s, right? Blaxploitation.
Yep.
This is that to the 10th power.
Right. They're sneakier about it. Go ahead, Jane.
One more thing I was going to point out too was in a lot of my videos, I point out that trope that you referred to before about how they tend to cast dark-skinned Black women versus lighter-skinned Black women. And I mean, this movie, as much as I love this movie, and I do, it's no exception, because you have two women.
The mayor
and right? One of them is the activist. She's fight the power, the people, all this stuff. And the other is the love interest. And she's beautiful and sexy and all this stuff. Not that the other girl isn't pretty, don't get me wrong. Right. But you can't help but see that same, how they do that every single time. It's just
absolutely
so annoying.
Absolutely, Jane. Like, the minute you said it, I knew exactly what you were going to mean. You taught me this, well, like I was saying backstage, like 2 years ago, and ever since then I cannot not see it on TV or movies. It freaks me out now how much it happens to be like the loud, obnoxious, or not even just that, or now it's also just strong and confident and knows what she wants, and she's going to get it no matter. Yeah, just
knows everything.
Right. We also talked about something, and then I'm just going to read this a super chat I got in a Larry membership one that we can't see on StreamYard's guides. So if you're doing a membership chat, I'm sorry, I can't see it unless one of us catches it. But the idea that when they change like a gender, we'll say, so let's say the character was written for a white male and they decide we're going to put a female in here. They don't change the character. She is playing a male character, but as a female. Like, instead of showing any femininity, she's just playing a dude that's actually a woman. That's all you see. There's no change. And
it's
that bothers
like
me.
They don't know what to do. And then there is this thing now where if strong female character basically just translates to man, but with boobs. I mean, that's like what they're going for. And if it's a man, then he has to be diminished in some way. And I'm glad that you don't necessarily see that here. And I think the only reason you don't see it is because you're dealing with a young version of the character. I've noticed that they don't really do it with boys. They allow boys to be boys.
Right.
But with older, more mature, masculine men, they have to be diminished. They have to be complete idiots.
Yep.
Or they have to, something has to be just wrong about them. Yeah.
Right.
Like also, the man has to be just a little bit effeminate, just a little bit like it can't just be like a masculine man. You know, like back in the day, you know, when you had, like, I watch a lot of MeTV. I'm watching Gunsmoke. When you watch James Arness, you know, something like that. The Cowboys back in the day, when you know they lay you out with one punch, and then go get drink some beer or some shit. You know what I mean? It's like you don't have that today.
No.
It's like, you know, like they're calling him emo Batman for a reason.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Sulking and kind of into his own feelings and stuff. You're absolutely right.
They can that they can accept, but if I don't even know if they could do Batflick anymore.
No, I mean it's tough.
They would have to make him gay or something.
Yeah, Batflick's gay. You heard it here first, everybody. All right, so Larry
broke the story.
She broke the story. Larry has been a member for 15 months at the Hot Pie level. Thank you, Larry. He says 15 months of sporking. Need I say more? I like that, sir. I also love that nobody guy for $5. I really dig your stream. Criminally undersubbed. Have you all Val Kilmer biopic on Amazon? No, I have not.
I have. It's so sad.
I watched some of that. Yeah, very interesting.
I didn't know that, but he led a very interesting. I didn't know there was one even about him. And then the last one is the Gilkman. Love you, Gilkman. $9.99. Anyone who thinks Ryan is racist might be considered dumb or stupid. The clip was taken out of context. I don't agree politically with a lot of people, but wish death on anyone is just wrong. Yeah, that's the thing. Like look, people were trying to make a name for themselves. I'm sorry, that's what it looked like to me. And you got to be on Young Ripa. You got to talk to him. Like, so now, okay. Hopefully you get subs from that. I personally think Ryan is a good dude, funny guy, has very strong opinions, and isn't scared to say it. And like you said, he was speaking to his group of people that understand that.
And you can't be scared to say these things. I mean, I think the concern some people have, even if they accept the obvious that Ryan isn't racist, obviously, there's still those who are like, well, but other people would interpret it in a racist manner. And it's like, you can't care. And I think Eric said the same thing. Like, you can't be so concerned what other people are going to take from what you say to not say what you have to say. You can't self-censor yourself based on how other people might interpret your comments. Because I've had it happen too. Like, when I talk about race swapping, I've had, one or two people show up and say something like super racist. And I'm like, don't you see my avatar? What do you that's not going to fly here.
Appropriating avatars.
But I still have to say what I have to say because I'm communicating something I think is important.
Yeah.
And it's frankly something that more people should take into consideration when they watch movies and television shows.
Yeah.
So it's just, you can't help what people think, but you can talk about it without threatening to kill people.
Right.
Like, it's just crazy.
It is crazy. It really is. Oh, George will be here in a little bit, everybody. We love George.
That's why when I started, from the very beginning, I was like, he is I and I am he. I'm taking some time to tell you what's on my mind.
Yes.
So when I get called on that, I always remind people that it's called the gospel according to me. If it was about you, I call it the gospel according to you, mofo. Right. It's my answer all the time. It's like, I believe that no human being should be ashamed to say what they think. They should be able to trust themselves to not intentionally be offensive to other people. I think that most of us are intelligent enough to know when you are being insulting to other people. And if you choose to do that, then be confident and secure with the fact that you are being an a-hole to these people,
Right.
But still, that's your choice. That's what you choose to do.
Right.
Either way.
If I know I'm going to offend people, I'll say it. I like, look, you're not going to want to hear this, but
you do too.
Here goes.
This people might not like this take. Yeah. I just say what I believe because I know my soul and I know that I don't hate anybody because of how they look or, who they have sex with. Like, I never think that way. So if I hate you and like, sorry that person is black, it's just because I hate you. It's not because you're black. It's because I hate you. You know what I mean? Like,
that's fair.
And I'm allowed to hate people of other colors and genders. I'm sorry, people. Yeah. Like this, you kind of put it perfectly. Since the
that's going to get clipped so badly.
Yeah, I know. Fuck. But take it. Maybe I'll get more subs out of it.
Make it short.
Yeah, make it short. The Floyd thing made white people scared to say anything against anybody of color or anybody of a different sexual persuasion. Like, I'm sorry. I will tell you like it is. If you're a good person, I'll be cool with you. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole.
But I think that's because the conversation got hijacked. Like, I remember at the start of it, the conversation was about police training, brutality, excessive force, liberties, freedom, the Constitution, like the things that everybody who is a taxpayer is generally concerned about. And everybody was pretty much on the same page. But of course, that can't last.
Right.
Like, there has to be division. And then you began to see sort of people coming in and hijacking the conversation. But
so true. I just saw this. I'm sorry, Makini. Makini, I love you, man. $2. He sent a super sticker. I didn't see it because it went so far back, but I just saw his name and I'm like, I swear I saw he got me a super sticker. So thank you so much, brother. And I think there is another one down here somewhere. Yes. Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective for $1.99. Can we just let Hollyweird burn?
It's burning.
I mean, you see more independents doing better. Like Gary says, like, more people watch YouTube content creators than the news sometimes, like live. Look at someone like, even though he's like a more right-leaning, or he's definitely right-leaning, but like Crowder has 500K, or we'll say like 60 to 70K people watching live. And within minutes of it being over, hundreds, thousands of people watch it. Like,
I know I watched.
That means something.
Tim Pool has the same sort of numbers as well,
Yep.
And someone who is definitely not a right winger,
right.
But like that people tend to trust more than they do the news, and it's like my grandparents. I get into arguments with them all the time about stuff because I'll read something in the newspaper and it'll talk about this article or something, and we'll find the article or the document or whatever it is, and it'll be completely different. And then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, this is bad because of this reason." I'm like, "No, that's not the article." And, well, the news said so. And I'm like, "It's not. It's not those days anymore."
Right.
Well, they don't have conversations anymore either on a lot of those networks. It's just a set of people espousing the exact same point of view. Versus here on this platform where people actually go back and forth. And from that, you can get closer to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, here's the information. This is what you should think. This is what you should think. CNN. This is what you should think.
Exactly.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Yeah, I think it was Billy Joel had an old song called "It's a Matter of Trust." Yeah, and that's what it boils down to. Who do you trust? When you watch CNN, like you were saying before, the only thing I get from that is somebody thinks I am stupid.
Right.
Right. And it's Trump's fault.
If you're just a little bit informed, you realize how much these people lie to us every single day. They look directly in the camera and they lie.
Yep.
And people pick up on that.
And they admit to it too. They admit to it. I mean, I'm sorry, man. Mostly peaceful riot, protests still with the buildings burning behind the guy was one of the greatest moments of news to like let people look. And if you still can follow that news station after that, amen to you for being oblivious. Because
let's go, Brandon. That was built off of a lie. Oh
my God, that was such a lie, right? And it goes on both sides. Both sides do it. It's ridiculous how far, how we've let experts tell us you got to believe, and people are okay. I believe then, without doing your own research. People, do your own goddamn research, please. Stop letting them tell you. Sorry, go ahead, Jane.
No, I'm sorry. That was the thing too with the protesting, is that at the same time they were purportedly trying to suggest or trying to show that the majority of the protests were peaceful, which they were. They were yet in front of the major cities burning, sensationalizing those incidents.
Right.
So it's like you're still feeding into
the
drama that you're helping to create in this narrative that you're helping to create. At the same time, you're trying to deny. It's like this two-faced thing that you see happening because the news media have become clickbaiters. It used to be that they would go out there and they would be the journalists. They would do that thing. They would research and present information and let us form our own opinion. And now it's like, this is the most sensational headline, the most sensational story, because we want clicks. It's almost like they're trying to be YouTubers. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
And it's annoying because they're so damn good at it. That's the worst part. Because so many people will look at it and just see the headline and automatically believe it based on that little icon that says CNN, Fox, MSNBC, whatever it is.
No.
That's enough.
Yes.
And that's
it's deliberate. They could have literally turned the camera on. Sorry, you go, Mark.
Okay. But that's the most heartbreaking thing about it all, is that they are so good at it, you know, to the point where I can talk to my mother and she's stressed, she's absolutely hurt by some of the things that she sees because she believes it, so she's passionate about it, and she'll call me wanting to talk about it and won't understand why I have a different view, where I don't get like as worked up as she does. Right. And but it hurts me because, that's my mom. I don't want to see her stressed out that way. She's crying tears sometimes, based on some of the things that she's seen on TV. And I try to, explain to her that you can't always take it at face value and everything. And it's just so tragic, man, because I don't want to see her that way. I don't want to see her like go through life and inevitably leave this life believing a false narrative that way,
Yeah. And I think of that with my children too, Mark. Like, they're so young and impressionable that I'm worried. Like, you see all these schools, like teachers literally not teaching subjects but teaching behavior and thought, and like that scares the shit out of me, because like I'm the one to teach them their morals. And I think I have a positive and a correct moral compass when it comes to things. It scares me how they want to teach my child, like, oh, because of your skin color, you're this. Because of your gender, you're this. I don't want that. I want them to be people, and I want them to meet people and make a decision off of who they are, not what they are. You know what I mean? And I want to know, Victor, what are you talking about? I'm touched in the head, Gary said last night. At least he said my name on Friday nights. Did I have to pay for that? I don't even know. What does touched in the head even mean? I mean, I am a bit nuts, but...
He means the bald spot. Someone touched you there, and that's where it fell out. Yeah,
that's where the angels touched me. Thank you.
Oh.
Yes.
That's what my grandmother says to me too.
Yeah.
I don't think they trust you. They don't trust parents to make decisions for their children in terms of how they want them reared.
Dude, it's a Brave New World all over again. The idea of a parent raising a child it's repulsive to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they want to control everything. They want to control the way that child thinks.
Yes.
And then they wonder why the rates are up for self-harm when it comes to these children, because the only thing that children need from us, outside of love and acceptance, is the truth.
Yes.
They need for us to tell them the truth. They want to know what's true in this world as we see it. Of course, when they get older, they can figure it out for themselves. Mm-hmm. But if we keep feeding them this BS, then in the dark of the night and stuff, they'll go over it in their minds, and that doesn't make sense. It doesn't there must be something wrong with me because I'm not accepting this, Right. And, I talk to my son for hours sometimes, before, bed and everything like that, just to make sure his mind is settled. And, sometimes I win, sometimes I lose, sometimes, we end up having to go over it again and again and again. And then I wonder, am I giving him the right, information and stuff? So it's a heavy responsibility, man. But, what you have out here, that is an actual agenda.
Yes.
That's not by accident. They want these kids to be screwed up.
Yeah.
They really do, because you can sell them more drugs, you can sell them, more ideas and
agenda.
A lot of times subscription to prescriptions. That's what they want.
Yeah, scripts. All about scripts. Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective for $1.99. Jane, 100% journalism is dead.
It is dead.
It is dead.
When I was a kid, we always talked about whatever was going on. We talked mainly about two things: history, because that was always falsified in school, and we talked about what was going on in society. From when I was little, I can remember being a part of those conversations. I think it's important, because if you're not educating, raising, making sure your child grows up with culture and morality in the home, then they're not going to have those defenses when they encounter people in the world, even as children, who are trying to spread misinformation to them or trying to corrupt those values.
Right.
So you have to prepare them. And that means, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, that means engaging with them when they're little.
Yes. And realizing kids understand things much younger than you think.
Yeah.
Much younger. My 7-year-old gets it. She's almost 8. She gets stuff that I'm like, dang, man, I didn't realize she would understand that. You know, and then also misunderstands things because she hears it and doesn't really get what it means. So that's the time you got to sit down and be like, no, this is what this is about. Like my children are raised patriotic, but not to blindly follow what the government tells you to do. Like, you need to be informed. People need to be informed. And you might be wrong, but you still, if you choose something and you believe in it, then go for it. But like, you might be wrong in the long run, but at that moment, if you believe in it and it's not hurting other people, but you believe in it strongly, then I'll back you 100%, even if I don't agree with you.
Yeah, man. I've said 1,000,000 times in my videos, my all-time favorite word, you know, in the English language, besides yes, is why. You know, why?
Yes.
And I remember I waited so long for my son to say that, you know, when he was like growing up and stuff. I wanted to hear him ask why about things.
Yes.
And that was almost as important as mama and dada. You know, when he finally said why, I was like, yes.
It opens up the dialogue.
Starts.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
This is where the real teaching starts.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just taking, you know, dictation and, you know, you're taking orders and not questioning anything. You know, you got to ask why. And once you start doing that, you got to keep doing that.
Right.
You know, like every day, several times a day.
And there's so much stuff in the news today. Like, I'm going to bring up this one. I have the actual article, but I'm going to bring up, hold on 1 second, George. Oh, good. Thank you for sharing that. What's up, George?
Hey, how you doing, my friends? How's everybody doing?
Perfect timing too for
you.
Jorge.
Hey, Mr. Grant Gregory, Jane, Mark.
Hey.
I am so glad you're here right now, George, because what we've been talking about, like the bold-faced, like, agenda of journalists and just people in general right now, their agenda speaks for what, you know, it is who they are now. It's not even what they believe. It's their whole embodiment. So a person from Den of Geeks published an article comparing the Lord of the Rings fans to mass
what?
Yes,
I know that. I'm working on a video on it.
I knew you would.
It's
I knew.
Disgusting. Yeah, it'll be out. Yeah.
So let's not say we'll just call it they compared them to MMs.
Mass murder. Yeah, they compared them to mass murderers.
That too.
This guy, think about this. When I first read it, I was
floored?
I was floored, but in a different way. I was sitting here thinking, okay, this is a human being. This writer is someone who breathes just like we all do, who feels pain, who feels joy. This is someone who has family, who's had dreams and aspirations. It's a person who has goals just like we do. But he has decided within one page to categorize all those who disagree with him, not only as an ist or a foe, but as murderers. He compares Tolkien fans who criticize Amazon's Rings of Power as murderers. Then he had to get that approved by an editor, a proofreader, and people had to agree to say, this is normal. So one, it's lazy writing. That's the biggest thing. That's just lazy. Oh, they're murderers. Two, he has forgotten. He's not even living in an echo chamber anymore. This is someone who's living in a fishbowl of his own bile. It's toxic. I actually, instead of being angry, I pity the person. Could you imagine living with but
it keeps escalating. Like, I thought racists and all these other ists and folks would be like the pinnacle.
Right.
But no, apparently it can get worse.
It can get worse. I mean,
how is he even making this case? I mean,
well, that's what we're going to read about. That's what we're going to read about. So, Den of Geeks author Andrew Blair, who is a white dude from Scotland, I believe. I know he's from Scotland. He looks pretty dang white in his picture. I do not know his ethnic background, so recently penned a screen comparing the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power critics to mass murderers. Not only Did Blair compare critics to mass murderers? He implied they are racist and also attacked J.R.R. Tolkien for his depiction of dwarves, which he got so wrong. He got so wrong.
You have picked the topic that I'm frothing.
I knew you, dude. I knew you were going to talk about this.
Because I love Tolkien. I mean, I've never done more videos. I mean, because it's something I grew up with. It's important to me. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the thing is there's been this trope, okay? There's been this trope since the 60s, late 60s, and then it picked up again in the late 80s, where people they called Tolkien a racist. And they do
anti-Semite too.
And this is a guy, and this is a gentleman, a scholar, a philologist, a linguist, an Oxford Don, right? Who's written letters which you could read in the letters of J.R.R. Tolkien, where he's castigated Hitler left, right, and center. He says no one has the right, not England, not Germany, not Poland, no one has the right to harm anyone. Right. The simple fact is, because he described in one paper that dwarves, he found them to be akin, he fashioned them on certain tribes of Judaism, on Israelites. And the reason he said that was because he felt that the dwarves had been prosecuted, had kind of been persecuted. And someone
displaced
said,
too. Right, displaced.
Exactly.
And we do like our jewels and treasures. That's right.
So they said, so you made these guys Jewish, so you make them like greedy for gold. He's like, no, you idiots. You're like, so he went above their heads and they went for the low hanging fruit.
Yes. Exactly. And there's a letter, guys, from J.R. Tolkien about this, referring, because someone asked him, and he actually asked him, I think, if he's an Aryan or something like that, and he comes back at him. I mean, the man fought against the Germans. I know that wasn't the same Germans, but he fought against fascism. He fought against
the Kaiser.
The Kaiser
in World War I in the trenches. This guy poured blood. It wasn't.
Yep. So this guy, Andrew. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
No. I was just listening to you. Go on.
Oh, okay. He begins his article implying critics of the show are racist, writing, in response to the trailer for Amazon's new Lord of the Rings series, there has been a negative reaction based on the fact that not everyone in the series is a white man. Okay. I'm going to take this as a white dude. Let's say I decided to take a black-based African mythology.
Wakanda.
Yeah, Wakanda is a mythology. That's a really good way of putting it. But I'm talking about, that's why I'm switching it up. I'm talking about 100-year-old written by someone who lives in a country in Africa, that.
There's several, there's many.
But they build their own mythology because that's what he was doing. He felt that there was so many different people coming into England, that England itself, the English, lost their mythology because of this, because of the Vikings and the Saxons and all different things.
The French,
French.
It's about all the invasions he wanted to create, which he wrote. He wanted to create a mythology for England as his gift to them, because he felt that one invasion after the other for about 1,500 years, that the oral tradition that had been passed down from fathers to sons, grandmothers to grandmothers, was getting lost. So he basically says this takes place around 7,000 years pre-medieval history. But it's the same way when I was doing my video, because people were attacking me saying, why do you have a problem with a black elf? Why do you have the black dwarf? I said, I don't give a shit about color. You're missing the point. The point is if Amazon is changing this one thing, I want to see what else are they changing.
Right.
And so I started pulling apart. I said, well, they're changing this character. They're changing X character. It is standing as an example. And because the fact that these people have mediocre minds, these writers, and they're using almost like this clickbait fashion. They're trying
that's what it is.
Instead of them making a logical argument going, okay, I see that he made it for this specific era and you're saying to preserve it. That's it. It's nothing different. Because what's odd is the anger that they're trying to generate has had a reverse effect. I have had more people from around the world come together where Tolkien fandoms from Japan to Italy to Russia to the UK to France to Brazil. Everyone. I'm like, you don't realize that Tolkien is read by the planet. It's not some Anglo group that's all.
Just some guy. Just some guy.
Well,
go ahead.
Sorry.
Raging Rhino in the house.
Raging.
I just wanted to elaborate on that. Color has nothing to do with it. Right. Because in regards to the criticism is what I'm getting at. Because if you replace that female dwarf, that black female dwarf, with a white female dwarf, the argument is still, why the fuck doesn't she have a beard?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
that's the argument. The argument isn't the color. Well, there is an argument with the color. There is that argument, which is a completely separate argument, right?
Right.
In regards to the law.
Right.
Look how I come in and I'm just.
But rage. Well, you are raging Rhino, but raging.
Rhino got a rage.
But this is the thing.
It has nothing to do with the color, and it's the same thing with what Ryan said about the Batman movie.
Right.
What he was saying was he was criticizing the fact that we live in this world right now that is all about wokeness. It's like, what can we virtue signal in this movie, or what can we virtue signal in this show, right? How can we do it, right? Now, Ryan said that he liked the movie, but there were elements of this in there, right? Now, he did talk about that one moment where Catwoman mentions white men as bad guys, right? And they didn't have to put the actual word white in there, and it took him out of it. There's nothing wrong with that, because because the way normal people talk isn't through color, right? So the racists here are actually the people that decided to put white in the script.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The people pointing out racism usually are the racists. But the thing is people don't realize it isn't about color, but he was writing a mythology for an ethnic group, which were Bretonians or Pikes or whatever you want to call them.
Here's the thing, too, that I think what people sometimes forget as well with his writing is that he did create a world that was influenced by Christianity. And that was influenced to some degree by the world in which we live. So whatever the mythology's connection to England, it's a much larger world than that.
Right.
And you do have a diversity of people on his planet, just like you have on this planet.
Yes.
My criticism isn't so much that that they, even just that they swapped these characters or whatever, did this racial weirdness with them, but you had the whole other part of the planet that you could have chosen to explore, and all of these other people who are in fact legitimately darker skinned, who you could have included in the story without there being a problem.
Just like the
orcs.
Chose
not to.
They pick out the orcs because they don't understand what they are.
That's right.
See,
then there's also the element of, like, sorry, George, there's also the element of Galadriel, right?
Oh my God.
They bastardized her too.
Her being like this ultra warrior and all of this.
Being a warrior princess.
Like, the criticism towards Galadriel is not because we're sexist, fucking misogynist pieces of shit. That's not what the criticism is. Listen with your ears. There's a reason why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. To listen twice as hard as you speak. You fucking morons.
Yeah. Right.
They don't care. They don't care to understand. That's the problem.
And that's
but for me, it's ultra simple. It's like, do you have a problem with the good Lord? If you believe in the good Lord, it is said that the good Lord created man in what?
His image.
Own image.
Boom.
All right. So if you have the creator of everything who decides to create in his image, then what would a writer of a book do? He would create in his image.
Absolutely.
So to me, it's ultra simple. All right. That man created what he wanted to create. Who the hell are you to look over his shoulder so many years later and say, and I said this from my very first video, hey, put me there. Well, what's wrong with you? You can't write something for yourself?
Amen.
That man created what he had to create.
Diverse. He made all of us. And look how diverse we are.
But then you get somebody from Mars who would come down and say, "Where are the Martians?"
Right,
Where
exactly, Mark.
Where am I?
That's the point that I made. I was talking, and the reason I brought up Wakanda is because there was a Mariana Rios Maldonado. Have y'all heard of her? She's the expert, supposedly, who
from 2020, who didn't know shit about Lord of the Rings. Yes,
right. But the thing is
I saw the movies.
I really think she wants a job. No, she's a PhD candidate, right? And her thesis, and the University of Glasgow is ethics and femininity with the encounter of the other in Tolkien's Middle-earth narrative. So I'm like, okay, this is a mouthful. So I went and did research on her, and she keeps popping up in these articles, defending Amazon's Rings of Powers. And one of her statements is, well, it's just like Marvel, how they took Thor and Odin and the Asgardians and they added Heimdall. I said, well, first of all, you're talking from a comic book series. They're not talking about the actual Norse mythology. So I had responded back and said, why don't we take Wakanda and the new one, Wakanda Forever, and we'll apply your rules. We'll make it the same. But I said, if we apply your rules and we created Wakanda, taking a rich African culture that is the technological superior to all the world, and we make it now look like the UN, you're going to rob it of something we're going to be able to appreciate that's unique. Mm-hmm. She's like, well, that would be racist if you did that to Wakanda. So I said, wait a minute, you want to do it to Tolkien, but that's
right. Here's the thing.
Go ahead, Jane.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. I think that it's still an apples and oranges situation because in Tolkien you have a planet. It's not that everybody in the story has to be white, because not everybody in the story is white. There are places where they are and there are places where they aren't, and they're just not taking time and energy and money to accurately represent them. It's just like the novel that I'm working on that's taken forever. It's set in a sort of alternate universe planet in a part of northwestern Africa. Okay. But there are different colored people in different parts of that world, because as in the real world, there are different colored people in different parts of the world.
Yeah, depending on the amount of sun they got.
Depending on where they happen to be. And then, so if you're casting my novel as a movie and everybody is black, then I'm going to have questions. Right. Because it doesn't make any logical sense.
Well, it doesn't, but
it comes down to the lore and the continuity of what the writer originally portrayed them as.
Cast the people the way they look in the book.
Exactly. That's the thing.
I always bring it to Star Wars, right? Like, it's the same thing, right? It's actually the criticisms are more about the lore and continuity issues than they are about the color of the skin, what's between their legs, or who they fuck.
No one cares.
Nobody cares about any of that. No. What we care about is the mythology of it. The thing that we love to dive into, and I can only speak for myself, and I think a lot of people that do watch my channel know that I love diving into this shit this much. But it's those things that matter. And I've said it before. George Lucas was able to make Star Wars for normies, but he kept lore and continuity tight as a motherfucker for the hardcore fans.
Yep.
Right.
Yep,
that's the thing with them. They don't want that. I think the problem is Tolkien created just like Jane said, his world is vast. Yeah. But when you respond to them and say, why didn't you create some Easterlings? Why didn't you create some from Harad? Why didn't you do it? And their response is always, oh, so you want to pigeonhole minorities into the way they were cast? I said, no, I'm saying stick to the mythology that was created.
Yes, exactly.
And give us a great story from those
worlds. That requires work, and that requires respect, because I don't actually believe that they give a shit about diversity or that they care. No, I think it's all lip service. Right.
They got to sit down and they got to read and they got to do their homework and they've got to learn, and they don't want to learn. They just want to adapt what's in their head and what's important in the real world today to the screen. They don't give a fuck. And the proof of them not giving a fuck is when we had the He-Man thing with Netflix.
Oh, God,
Fucking he comes out and he goes, Netflix don't fucking care. Did they lose any subs? Yeah, they might have lost a couple of thousand subs, but they fucking gained another 100,000 the next day.
Right. They lost a quarter million.
But at the end of the day, they don't care.
They don't care.
The numbers they
Bottom
need.
numbers.
Right, but I will say that Tolkien is different. It's not like, and maybe I'm saying that because I'm a fan, but it's different than Marvel and Star Wars.
I agree.
It's like George R. Martin. George R. Martin is as deep as Tolkien.
I agree, but I also
I think Tolkien is deeper and better.
Well, in terms of world building.
Right.
And it's also been around. You have to, that Tolkien was literally still the #1 best-selling novel throughout history. Harry Potter didn't come close. George R. R. Martin. It at one point in time, I almost did this in a video, but I said I'm not going to touch religion. At one point in time, it has actually surpassed the Bible and the Quran. In periods. I mean, it's not something that is Star Wars and Star Trek. People learn Klingon in Star Wars. They dress up and cosplay. Everyone's done it. This is a place where people go and get degrees and they study it. They learn the languages.
There's a the difference between, and this is the biggest difference between George R. R. Martin and J.R.R. Tolkien, is that Tolkien wrote it as this is the history of.
Right. Yes.
Martin writes it as this is the history of from this person's perspective, this person's agenda, who this person is writing for. And I find that to be more interesting for me. I just wanted to point out this picture. Cate Blanchett didn't have to put on all the armor and fight. And with this one, look, you could tell how graceful she is, how powerful she is, and how scared I am of her.
This is the worst part of the movie.
What about when Frodo offers her the ring?
Right.
Yes.
I will be a goddess.
Just saying that gave me goosebumps.
Of course. But you know why? Because Jackson, remember Christopher Lee, who played Saruman in the films, he was one of the only cast members who actually had met Tolkien when he was alive. They had conversations. And Tolkien, when he created Galadriel, again, it's in his letters. Anyone can read them, the letters of Tolkien. Yep. He would correspond with his proofreader, and they would talk about, the proofreader would turn around to him, I think it's Sir James, and he would say, I'm finding that Galadriel has an undertone of her grace, of the Virgin Mary. And Tolkien's like, yes, she does, because he based Galadriel partly on his mother and on the Virgin Mary. So he didn't want someone who's like armored up. He wanted her to be the mother figure, who's like all powerful on her own and who's calm and kind. Not this Xena warrior princess that Amazon is doing.
Right.
It's a character assassination.
It is.
I don't know. I've never read the books. I actually want to sit down and read them, but
they're good.
Obviously I need a bit of time to do that as well. But The Hobbit, the moment in the Galadriel has in The Hobbit where she fucking sends Sauron back to Mordor, right? Like, even in that moment, she is fucking powerful. I mean, she's more powerful than the two men that are with her.
Yeah.
One's a wizard and one's a fucking elf.
And no one questions it. No one questions it.
No.
Like, and she doesn't have to put armor on. She doesn't need to climb a wall with a dagger. She doesn't need to do any of that. She can literally still be there in a flowy white gown and be this ultimate presence on the screen.
She's like, freaking amazing.
I don't get. This is what I don't get about where they come from with it, like the mindset of these people creating it, right? And it all comes down to, of course, they're not fans. They don't care about this stuff like a fan would.
Because they just want the image, though. They just want to see her riding on the back of a horse with an armor and the shield and the sword and all this stuff. It's like you have to reduce her. You have to depower her or underpower her to even make any of this make sense. This is someone who can camouflage an entire army and speed them along.
She should be that powerful. She should be that powerful that she doesn't need armor.
She doesn't. That's the point.
That's the point.
She doesn't need anything. They're actually weakening her and they're making her look foolish. I mean, they had a leak. They had a leak, which I just finished a video, which will be out tomorrow morning. Not throwing that in there. It's just because.
No, please do. Please do. Your videos have been amazing.
Just because I was just working on this, and the leaks that they had is from Fellowship of the Fan. Is the fact that they have Halbrand is the new character that Amazon created, a human character, right? And the leak states that he has to act as a mediator, to be conciliatory because Galadriel's rage is so much that it can't be I'm like, who the fuck are y'all writing about?
Right.
Wait, what?
Right. That's bounding in the comics. If you go, Scott, and go back into the last article about it, it's from 2 days ago. Okay. There's a line in there. Not this one. It's the one before it.
Hold on.
It'll tell you. I'll show you. Go down all the way.
Will it have a picture that you can recognize?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my God.
Say, hold on. Wait. No. Go up.
Up.
It should have been Gandalf. It should be Gandalf.
Oh, it's Gandalf. I just saw that one right here.
Article.
Is this the same one I just did?
No. That's below. Where's the search? Type Lord of the Rings.
Okay. Yeah, let's do this.
Can I just say this?
Yeah, please, Mark.
Yeah, because I gotta go pick this kid up real quick.
Okay.
If you guys are still on, I'll jump back on.
Yeah, please do.
But I did a video talking about ElfQuest. All right, if anybody remembers the graphic novels.
ElfQuest. Yes.
Okay. All right, you know what ElfQuest had? ElfQuest had brown skinned elves.
Yeah,
you remember Ray?
She was a belly dancer. The writers of Belly was a belly dancer. She was inspired when she would see belly dancers, the beautiful color. She's like,
well, he has to go. Let him finish though, and then we'll talk about belly dancing.
No, I love that you know about that, George, because a lot of people don't, man. You know. And that's what I'm saying. It's like for all of those people who are crying the crocodile tears, I never saw elves that look like me.
All right.
Well, where were you? Where were you back in 1978 when this stuff was being produced? Okay, all the diversity that your ass could handle. All right. Not only was it dark skin, light skin, brown skin, white elves, but there was also a hint of same sex recognition that was happening in those stories. And I think Wendy, the creator of it, she was saying if it would have come out today, they would just say that she was virtue signaling, but she was doing that back in the 70s. You know, this is the reason why I always say they are messing with the wrong fandom, because we've already come through that. We've already grown through that.
And accepted it.
So, that's right. The audience is diverse, and we have an appreciation for diversity. So all of this stuff, I can't take them seriously, because if they were real fans, I wouldn't have to tell you this. You wouldn't know this, you know?
Yeah.
So there it is. They're full of shit. Now, like, I'm going to jump off real quick. And,
all right.
You know, like I said, if you're still on, I'll
great to see you, come on back, Mark, if you can.
All right, y'all.
The whole I feel seen.
See you when you return.
They the other thing too, just quickly, if they were actually real fans, like they would see what the problem is with compressing so much time into such a small period of time. Do you know what I mean? Like they're compressing thousands of years into
over 3,400 years. They're compressing.
Yeah,
like that's the length of the second age is like 34, 44 or something like that.
It's because they're supposed to, and their stupid reason was they're like, well, every season we'd have to kill off humans. Well, that's what happens in the book.
Absolutely, and your elves and actually
they are immortal. That's
think about that.
Question.
There are humans that live like 200-300 years, aren't there?
The Numenorians.
The Numenorians.
I've got a question though. If they actually don't own the rights to it, this is probably more for George.
Yeah.
If they don't own the rights to it, then they can't adapt it properly.
See, this is the problem, is so far everything that's been released, when you look between the Tolkien estate and the Saul Zaentz company, the rights that they own are all solely for television. It originally was the rights that they purchased were the appendices, the 150 pages at the end of the Return of the King. And then they now claim in the last, well, they've been claiming this for a year, but they're now coming out with it, saying that they own portions of Lords of the Rings, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King, and The Hobbit, but only for televised release. When I found out about that, but see, only television.
So does that mean though? But does that mean
that means that means they're rebooting
properly? No, they're not allowed to adapt it properly.
No. See, this is the problem, which is why I didn't understand. I'm trying to piece it together. It's just they are not allowed by their contracts to change any character. They can create new ones. They cannot alter anyone. So they're
changing Galadriel.
I know, but
they're changing Galadriel terribly.
This is what I don't understand.
But this is what they're doing.
Betting that their billions can bully the Saul Zaentz company.
Because
you know what they're doing is they want to make one series. Sorry, Jane. They want to make the Rings of Power, and then right after that, they want to redo the Fellowship of the Ring, the two powers, for television.
They're interpreting it a certain way, though. With Galadriel, part of the problem here is that there are lines about her involvement in conflict. So because it's not specific, I mean, we do see how she's involved. She uses her magic.
Yeah.
But because you have words like fight being used, they can interpret that literally as how they want to. In this case, her physically fighting, even though we know that's not what she's doing, because that's not what's shown to us in the books.
Right.
But it's like they're finding little bits of wiggle room or loopholes or whatever in the language to sort of change the characters enough to fit their agenda.
Well, let's read this part right here, and I'm going to probably say names wrong, and I hate
go down below. You'll see it's better. This is a silly one. The next leak is better.
Okay, the next leak.
Right there.
Right there. So, tense introduction follows. Verbal standoff between Galadriel, Miriel, and Pharazôn, where Galadriel proclaims her lineage. It's Halbrand who tries to act as the consigliere whatever. Thank you. One, and keeps Galadriel's rage in check. And then it goes on to say they're both then marched off to their quarters or jail, unconfirmed, by guards, during which time Halbrand secretly gets a dagger. Well, whatever. And this is when Galadriel fights off guards.
Off guards?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like they're turning into Game of Thrones, you know.
Yeah.
That's what they want. That's what they want. She's like a mix of...
Galadriel wouldn't be using a fucking sword or anything.
No,
like
exactly.
Individual people.
She's a faceless man.
And so it all just disappear.
Yeah.
She's a faceless man. You guys don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my god.
Galadriel, and see, by this time, this is what's fucked up, is this is why they can't change it. So I've written the Saul Zane's company, because I said I'm doing research, because by this point in the Second Age, Galadriel is almost 2,000 years old. She's already married, because she married in the First Age, and she already has her child. So
after 2,000 years, I'd like to think she would be.
Right.
My point is they're changing it to, like, I'm worried that they're gonna then, like, not only have they messed it up, they're gonna start doing the sex.
Is he in it?
You can't have the story with
no, because you don't need no man.
But that's the other thing.
That's the other problem. They don't own any of the material to the Second Age. They literally bought the material to other ages, and they're saying that we're using clips from, the little like one-liners or story bits, and we're piecing together a Second Age.
Okay, George, this is a question. This is an interesting question, because we haven't confirmed that her husband's going to be there, right? So this is my question in regards to what they own. All the characters that they've shown us in this, the Rings of Power, have they all been shown from either The Hobbit or the
from the Third Age, I believe. Yeah.
We haven't seen a new character from the Second Age.
No, just younger versions.
So this is where the question comes in. Can they actually even adapt the Second Age properly? Are they even allowed to use the character of
they're creating
the husband
them.
because they don't own the husband?
No, they're not. That's the point. They're trying to find their way of doing their own individual reboot.
That's the biggest problem with all of this.
Which is what I don't understand is they're doing a Second Age story when they own no Second Age story rights. That's what
because they're adding hobbits, George. Well, they're adding hobbits to an age that we don't know hobbits are live.
Sorry, I got a lot of questions. So what we saw with Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit is the Third Age. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Did Tolkien write anything about the Fourth Age?
He has. After that, he did the Silmarillion. He did more, but he didn't finish it. That's the problem. He thought about doing, how at the end of it, how they defeat Sauron the Eye, there was supposed to be a follow-up, okay, where you have the final war.
Right. But can I ask you, would it have been better for them to move forward?
Of course it would, because
instead of going back.
This is the problem. They probably still will.
It's the keys, right? They want the rings. What they'll do. They want the rings of power. They want the big ticket items to capture the audience and try and make, especially the normies, and make them feel like they're saying, "Oh, this is what happened before the Lord of the Rings."
Yeah, I know about the rings. I know about the rings. What were you going to say, Mr. Grant Gregory?
So no, this is it's pretty simple what they're going to do. They're going to Star Trek Discovery. It's going to start off in the past. You're going to have the elf of color. He's going to discover some sort of magic. He's going to get transported to the Fourth Age, where he's now in fact ruler. He's the last living elf and then he'll rule the kingdom that way.
Right.
But this is the pattern. This is the pattern that we're seeing of them going into the past in a lot of different franchises.
Yes.
By doing that, they can change how we perceive
history,
everything that follows.
Well, how many of our favorite shows or book series have now gone back? We have Star Wars messing with the original. We have
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who, George R.R. Martin. Now they're going back to the Dance with Dragons. I want to see how they'll try to change a story that's already been written.
They've already changed it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You add a character that is from a
paternity test.
A white paternity test. It's all about the paternity test. I swear to God, it's going to blow my fucking mind.
I sometimes think they purposely do this to create division, to have conversations to
make me look like a madman, George.
But to answer Rhino's question, because Rhino was spot on. See, Tolkien, there are a few letters left where he discussed, there are even the Unfinished Tales, where he calls it like the new shadow with the Fourth Age. It's an area that's completely that would leave room for them to explore.
Right.
They could have done that. Unfortunately, not a lot of people, unless you're a real big Tolkien fanatic, knows about that area. My question is that I haven't been able to put my finger on an answer. Maybe one of y'all have an idea, Jane or Rhino or Scott or Grant, is why create a second age story when you don't have the rights to it? They have more rights to the third age.
Right.
And
it's to change the past.
The answer to that, literally, George, is the nostalgia. It's literally the nostalgia.
Okay.
And if they can change it to align with their politics, their virtue signals and things like that, then it opens the door to them changing the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit, just like it did with Star Wars. They've opened the door for sure. They've opened the door to redoing the OT. Right. They've opened the door to redoing the prequels. The door is wide open.
I think they also want to fix these characters
because they fucked it.
Yeah, Jane, very good point.
The characters, they don't like how Elrond was portrayed.
Yep.
They don't like how Galadriel was portrayed.
So it's an anti-Australian thing. That makes sense now.
Well, they can't fix them going forward, but they can fix them in the past by making her less feminine. Because
more
if you saw the fan video, they were talking about how she didn't do much in Lord of the Rings. It's like, what are you talking about? So they make her a little warrior princess.
Right.
Well, Elrond is maybe too active for whatever reason, so they have to now make him more ethereal.
We're gonna make the Balrog a female.
And she gonna kick ass.
You shall not pass, and she's gonna go, fuck you, where's your manager?
Voiced by Leslie Jones.
I'm smoking fire and I'm gonna kick your ass. Yes, Leslie Jones playing the archetype of the mad black female.
I can see it.
Oh my God, totally. What up, Walton? How you doing, my brother? Are you streaming later tonight so people could know? Let them know. So yeah, this den of geeks, like, I mean, the dude goes in hard, and I actually
go down.
Yeah, where's the rest of his shit?
Okay,
here we go. Blair writes, despite Tolkien's vehement anti-racism, there are issues with his mythology. Okay, first of all, it's his mythology.
Off.
Yeah.
Yeah. How can you even say that?
You're such an arrogant prick for saying that.
Sorry, go on.
No,
Dude, he knows better. He writes for a magazine online. What did Tolkien ever do on the internet?
Yeah. Drew. He equating the dwarves with Jews, including linguistically, was intended positively as a representation of disposed people, but he also described their tremendous love of the artifact in a 1965 BBC interview.
Can I just quickly say, I thought like hobbits were more supposed to be portrayed as like wogs,
right?
Like Europeans, like myself,
right?
Like that's what I thought they were sort of more supposed to be. Yeah.
Hobbits?
The Hobbits
are like little Sicilians.
Hobbits are more little ethnic
No.
They're not.
Yeah,
not at all. Not at all.
You know,
they're not.
maybe with a little bit of Vietnamese in there.
Like little Italians, little Greek wogs.
They're none of those things.
Hey, is it time to eat? Come on.
We're gonna make it the sex tonight.
Look at my hairy feet.
I have not seen a single Hobbit cooking spaghetti.
No, you gotta understand.
They got the curly hair. They
got the curly hair, the hairy armpits.
They look like me.
No.
Now you're ruining the Lord of the Rings for me because now I don't see myself in them anymore.
I thought for a minute.
God, I thought I was just like Frodo, and now you're just.
Oh my God, you're not. What we all are in a way. That's.
I mean, George. His name is Frodo.
Frodo.
You know.
The point is Tolkien was a Luddite, okay? He despised the machines and mechanics and the future. He liked, the quiet streams, the garden. He liked that Edwardian time period.
He would not like this stream. That's what you're talking about.
He didn't like technology. He was an avowed Luddite. He viewed the ring to be, a lot of people would say it represented the atomic bomb. He wrote it obviously before. He wrote it after World War I, before the atomic bomb. No, it represented to him, like he called factories a place where those who abuse others can hide slaves outside of the city. Like he believed in artisans and crafts. Everybody should, work in the field. He was. Well, and so he created the hobbits as that representation of the quiet life. A mug of beer, your pipe.
I thought they were Irish.
Well, I mean,
they were literally
even
just
with
humans.
the whole thing with that, that was what Saruman did to the Shire. He turned it into an industrial complex. That was him destroying something in his eyes. So
yep. And
that was the machine. That's why they have it in the movie where he's like, it's where Saruman's like, it's the age of metal,
Yeah.
But see, the only reason they're even including 2 points. One, they actually described this as the novel he didn't write. So you understand they are trying to replace Tolkien's work with something they perceive to be better.
Well, and they could see into his heart and mind, Jane.
And the other thing too, they're so superficial, and you can tell they're writing this with images in mind and not story. Yeah. Because the only reason the hobbits are in it is because they said, well, we have to have it with hobbits because that's what people recognize. Not that because it has anything to do with anything.
Right.
Like, that's the whole thing with this whole thing is it's all about jangling the keys, and they've grabbed every well-known character. They've grabbed everything that they can from what they do own, and they're trying to make a story out of that in an age that they don't own. That's why you're not getting any of the characters from what they don't own, because they don't own them. It's kind of like the Spider-Man thing with Sony and Disney, right?
Yeah.
It's that sort of situation that they've got going on. They don't own the characters. They own these characters, and those characters were in this age, right? But then the other characters from that age, they can't use. That's how I'm foreseeing what's going on. But then on top of that, you've got all the virtue signal stuff. And the criticism, as I said when I sort of first came on, isn't from a place of racism or sexism. It's from a place where if you were to change the skin tone of that dwarf woman, the argument is still, where's the fucking beard? If you were to say that the forbidden relationship between the black dwarf and the black elf and the female human or whatever that is, like, there was a reason why there's criticism for that, because there were only so many of those that happened in Tolkien's work.
Right. That's what was so right.
They're trying to add it in because it's already happened 3 times.
Right.
The real Tolkien fans know that that's happened. So it's like, oh, we get another one. That's what they think they're going to do.
The Tolkien fans don't do that. They get sick and angry.
That's right.
Well,
Star
what
Wars
I find
fans do.
Well, I find
fans do. They'll sit there and go, "Oh my God, this Skywalker!"
But here's the thing. Though. If you're gonna have that relationship, why try to make them appear to be different races? Like, why
they want a mutt?
Because they want to.
Because it makes them better.
Because they want to repeat what happened with Elrond's parents.
No, you're right.
What I'm saying,
Jane has a valid point. Go for it.
This is the storyline involving the black elf and the light-skinned human woman.
Right.
Why do that? It's like because they're trying to present actual modern day racism into this story where it shouldn't exist, because that's not. It would be a form of racism, but it wouldn't be color based. It would be elf versus human based.
It's like within Lord of the Rings. It's elf and human. It's not skin tone.
But they make it. They create that overlay to confuse the situation through virtue signal.
And then if you criticize it, it's because you're racist, not because you've got a problem with the continuity of the lore or what actually was
written down.
Written down, or like not necessarily because as George just said, the book wasn't written like. There was stuff that wasn't complete. Right. So, yes, you do have to fill the gaps, but you've got to honor.
Yes. Wait.
You know what could have worked?
Hold on.
He left them the blueprint, though.
Rhino actually hint on something that they use as an excuse and they're using it wrong. Tolkien did leave a line where he said he wanted the gaps to be filled in by minds and hands. But he said specifically, that's the readers. He wants you to imagine the rest.
Yeah.
Not fucking Amazon to come along and go, well.
Fill the gaps.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You could have had that same story being told in the eastern part of the world.
Where there is people that look like that.
Exactly.
But also, too, the problem with what they're doing here is, depending on what they do, this can retroactively damage what happens after this. It's kind of like with Star Wars, right? The sequel trilogy retroactively damaged what happens before.
Dude, right? Doctor Who all the way through. What they did with that one.
That's another one. They're retroactively using these things to go, boom, that's fucked. that's destroyed, that was shrouded in racism and sexism and all of that stuff. So we're going to reset it and do it properly. No, that's not how the fucking thing works. Right?
Like the way they destroyed Luke.
Tolkien grew up and wrote in a completely different age than we live in now. It doesn't mean that what he wrote is sexist or racist.
Actually,
because racism was maybe okay. Well,
no. You gotta look at what he writes. Look at what he writes about. When we talk race, we're actually in his world. It is actual race. Legolas, when from the jump, wants to put an arrow through Gimli's head. That is racism, dude. And what does he do by the end? By the end, they are best friends, willing to die by each other's side.
Having a death count contest.
Dude, like best fucking friends. That's true racism. Finding out that racism can cause the Fellowship more harm than good, and seeing these people grow as characters and become actual friends, he destroys racism in his writing.
Right.
And you also have dark-skinned people in the story who are heroes, and you have them who, some of the earliest farmers in the West were darker-skinned humans from the East.
Yep.
Like, you could present that.
Well, Jane, why couldn't any of you taken? Oh, I'm sorry, but real quick, Rhino, why couldn't he have taken like these Amazon people taking some rando guy from the East?
They're called Easterlings.
The Easterlings that live now in the West, and tell the story through his eyes. Let him be the gateway to the fan.
That takes creativity and investment, and they're not going to do it.
It's the same way that in the sequels they brought in Finn. When I saw Finn, I was like, you know what? That's going to be one of the most amazing characters. We finally have a former stormtrooper.
Yes.
And then they turned him into a joke. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Just to quote something, that's not Tolkien. That's Mario Savio.
What, this?
Yeah.
Oh, this, okay.
That's not a Tolkien quote.
Oh, okay. Good try, though, man. Keep coming. Yeah,
that's the bodies upon the gears, upon the wheels, upon the levers speech.
I just don't get it, right? I just don't understand why these creators, they call themselves creators.
They are not.
I think there's more creators on this panel than there are creating this new fucking...
They're like, you know what they are? They're script doctors, but they're script doctors that work in an alley in like Acapulco or some shit.
They're franchise destroyers, man. They're not script. They're the fucking franchise destroyers, and we've seen it. We've seen it from Star Wars to Star Trek to Doctor Who, now Lord of the Rings. I mean, what the fuck, honestly, is next? I mean,
She-Ra. They destroyed She-Ra.
She-Ra.
But then, there's that. We're also going through it with Marvel now, right? Yeah. They built up the MCU, and there were some downfalls for some people, and there were some really high moments for some people. But again, it was kind of all quite consistent, so everybody could deal with it, right? It's kind of like with the Star Wars OG and prequels. Some people didn't like the prequels, but they could still sit there and watch them because it's still consistent. It still jives well with the rest of the story. It still tells a good story at the end of the day, right? They can't even find that line, right?
They're not creators, they're repurposers.
They're not even getting to that line.
Right.
I would typically have an answer for that. The only thing that's thrown me off is that they're spending, they've dedicated $1 billion to this. Typically when a studio is going to pump out a message, they don't dedicate $1 billion.
Right.
That's
makes
what
no
keeps throwing
logical
me.
Makes no logical sense. But they are determined. See, this is the problem, is that when they started the prequels, it was because they still love the content. They still love the IP.
Right.
The problem here is that these people who are creating this nonsense hate it. They hate the original story. They hate the original characters. That's why they keep trying to change everything.
Mm-hmm. Like they bring up orcs. Oh my god, how many debates have I gotten into this over?
I still don't know where they came from with the orcs thing.
Oh, that's because you have Mariana, and then you had the two showrunners who are saying, like, some people ask us why we didn't create more black characters instead of using the elf and the dwarf. They're like, well, because Tolkien, he goes, even though we respect him and we honor him, they were saying that he created black characters into orcs, and we don't want to portray them as the bad guys. I'm like, Tolkien would no, Tolkien said it because there was a professor in the 60s from the UCLA who wrote to him, and he's like, I feel that you've misuse this minority. He's like, they're not a human race. He goes, they're a construct of evil. He goes,
they're not. They're literally. They're literally not human. Like this is the thing that bothers me. They are not human characters.
Right.
It's almost like they can't distinguish either between what is human and what isn't. Now, to be fair, just like in Game of Thrones with the Targaryens, elves haven't been portrayed accurately in terms of how non-human they should look. Right. And I think that's contributing to the problem. Because if they look like they are supposed to look, how they're described, you wouldn't confuse them for any kind of humans of any color.
Right.
But because they portray them as humanoid, these people in particular are forgetting that they're not human and they're not even supposed to look like the rest of humanity.
Not at all.
I think the problem is elves, orcs came from elves, right?
Right.
That's my understanding.
So we know which elf he came from then.
Elves are usually white, right? White, fair skin, fair hair,
they have certain groups. They have certain groups. They're either dark haired.
So does that mean that when they become an orc, it's just an elf in blackface?
No,
no. It's supposed to.
The problem is that they are hyper. It's almost like they're. Right. It's like they're hyper.
Yes,
and their hair. It's almost like they glow. They're not. They don't look like random people.
Well, you know what, Tolkien, George.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this question. Tolkien really kind of leaves the turning it into an org as
He has two ways.
Yeah, but he does leave it like with some of the mystery still in it because he didn't want to explain it completely. Right. But like there are two ways. It's a corruption of
elves.
Right. And
there's
then
one way. The other way is that
the Urukai, though.
Right.
That was the Urukai.
There's a construct. One is a construct of evil. The problem is he kept debating it, and that's the one thing with Tolkien. And he would write, and then later he'd change something, and then he'd write again.
How do they? I still don't understand how they get to. Is it because of their coloring that they're jumping to the conclusion that these things have anything to do with
This is it.
Stupid.
But this is it.
The noses. That was the main thing.
See how much they're gonna stretch. See how much they're gonna reach.
How dark would the black elf become? Because I mean,
well, what
it's all about skin color.
Well, he blames it on the British Empire. Like the two showrunners originally were saying, like we did not want to misrepresent minority communities by using Tolkien's actual description, which was a product of his time, because orcs actually they say have like slanted eyes, and in their view, they're like, "Oh, he's making fun of Asians."
Oh
it's not even. But here's the thing.
Oh my god!
It's not.
It's so dumb.
I push back against this idea that it's a product of his time. He created the characters as they look.
Right.
The orcs and the elves and the dwarves are not humans.
No, Jane, I think you're right. I think you're right.
She is right. She knows. That's why I said they are constructs to represent an idea.
Jane, the actors underneath them are humans.
Yes, and they have feelings, Jane. They have feelings.
And you know what? That's why we have makeup.
Right.
What happened to
and that's why it's called acting. But that brings us to this thing, like about gay actors having to fill gay roles.
Yes,
right?
yes. Gandalf himself.
It was actually funny. I just want to remove from this for a second. I was watching a short. I got into one of those short holes. I don't know if you've ever done that. Where
I'm a big short guy, guys. So please make sure you check out all my shorts.
I've put out a couple of shorts recently too.
I love shorts.
Are you short?
I was watching a short.
I am short.
And it was Denzel Washington being interviewed, and he got asked what he think of Black History Month.
Love it.
And he goes, I hate it.
Diversity one. Yeah.
He goes, I hate it. And he's like, but why? Like, don't you want you guys to be represented? He goes, do you have a White History Month?
You do, by the way.
There are like 11 of them.
Rhino, that wasn't Denzel. That was Morgan Freeman.
Oh, it was Morgan Freeman. Sorry.
Oh, look at you, God. Come on. Get them all mixed up. They got great voices, and all of a sudden, they're all the same guy.
All right, sorry. I'm fucking racist.
Raging racist, everybody.
One of your friends was Ryan.
But it's the same thing with it's the same thing with this. Gay roles for gay like actors. It's so
you're flustered.
You're acting.
Yeah, you're acting, and he puts it perfectly. Doesn't think gay roles should be reserved for gay actors. We're pretending. They're pretending to be gay.
Perfect word.
And I mean, Gandalf.
It was Denzel Freeman.
Denzel Freeman. I love that guy. I love him. Yeah, so he goes, there are two things. Is the argument that a Gentile cannot play a Jew? And is the argument, therefore, that a Jew cannot play a Gentile? Ian McKellen replied, when asked about the backlash over the fact that Marine is not Jewish, Marion, right? He then took his answer one step farther, touching on his own feelings as a gay man in Hollywood. Is the argument that a straight man cannot play a gay part? And if so, doesn't that mean I can't play straight parts and I'm not allowed to explore the fascinating subject of heterosexuality in Macbeth? Surely not. We're acting. We're pretending.
Yeah.
You know, like
he's not even a wizard either. So, I mean,
right. He sounds like a wizard though. Neil Patrick Harris told the Times in 2021, he wasn't someone who jumped on the labeling, adding, as an actor, you certainly hope you could be a visible option for all kinds of different roles. I played a character in How I Met Your Mother for 9 years who was nothing like me. Exactly. He was a womanizing, like ladies man, and he was fucking awesome at it.
Excellent.
And when I found out he was gay, I was like, that's even better.
That's right. And I was shocked. I was the same as you, Scott. Yep. I was completely shocked. I'm like, he's gay and he can do that.
And like, he was a dork. Role? He was a Star Wars fan.
I've never seen it. Is it good?
Dude, I love that show. I think it's funny. A lot of people hate it. I think it's one of the funnier shows. It takes a couple seasons to ramp up, but when they all get their own neurotic thing about them, it becomes a fantastic show. And he is the ultimate bachelor. You know, and he's a gay guy who plays.
He's got a playbook.
Yeah, he has
an entire fucking playbook, and he goes through his plays. And when he goes through his plays, some of them are fucking unreal.
Amazing, man. Unreal. And he has and the best thing is his twin. He believes his twin brother is a gay black dude because that's how his mother raised him. So
and he thinks his father was Bob Barker.
Yeah, he thinks his dad's Bob Barker. Dude, you got to watch the series.
You got to watch it. It's so good. Barney is the best character.
That being said, they did Game of Thrones the ending.
Yeah, Jade, what were you going to say?
What's kind of interesting is here it says, meanwhile, stars like Wentworth Miller, who came out later in life, are adamant about playing only roles with which they identify. He, who is biracial, by the way, has played white characters, I think, most of his career.
Majority of his career.
Yeah, he was Captain Cold.
And he doesn't have an ice gun. So is he allowed to play Captain Cold?
Come on. That's the problem with a lot of these SJWs and virtue signalers and all that sort of thing is they forget history.
Yes.
Even their own fucking history. They forget everything prior to them waking up. They become a goldfish every day.
Right.
Like, you know, a goldfish runs into the glass and it goes, oh shit, don't do that again. Bang, it does it straight away. That's them.
I mean, look at what they just did to America Chavez, the 15-year-old girl. Scott and I, we talked about that 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
They attacked a 15-year-old girl because they said she shouldn't be playing. I can't stand the comic book character, but I support the girl. 15 years old, getting the shot of a lifetime by Disney, and they're saying she's not dark enough for the role.
And, she's Mexican, not Puerto Rican.
Not alien.
What they're saying is that she's the character's Caribbean, which I don't think that was ever established.
I don't know, but
there was one run.
Like the season 7 of the Clone Wars. There was an Asian voice actor that got a role that was supposed to be a love interest for Ahsoka. That got dropped from the role and they didn't even tell him. He was still, the night before the episode premieres, he's tweeting out, I'm so excited, my episode's coming up next episode, and he wasn't in it.
Why?
Right.
So because they wanted the fucking shaved head lesbian bitch in there instead of him. Right? Like, you know, that was
it, Rhino.
But instead of actually telling the character, it's the same thing that they did with Gina Carano.
Right.
It's like, you know, let's fire her online. Let's not tell the actors that are so excited to be in a Star Wars show, just even as a voice actor, that they're not even in that we cut you. We cut you. And he's announcing it to his friends and family.
Right.
Online.
How fucked up is that?
But that's fucked. Disney, you're fucked up. All these studios are just fucked. They don't care about anyone. They don't care about the minorities. They don't care about what they virtue signal about. You know what they care about? They care about looking good. And that's it. Looking good to the minority of fucktards on Twitter. That's what's important.
Yep.
Sorry, I do have to go. I'll be right back.
But the America Chavez thing I found interesting because they were essentially making the race swap argument that we always get criticized for making.
Right. That's
so
what blows
like
my mind.
We point out the characters have been race swapped and we're racist.
Right.
You're essentially making the same argument.
Right.
But that's justified somehow.
We're defending a girl who none of us probably will like the character because they're attacking her because of her ethnicity and how she looks. Like,
I'm sorry, even
how
if
fucked up is that? And if she's not from a different dimension.
Right. Even if I despise the character, I would never do that to a child. I would just keep my mouth shut. I'd be like, it's a kid. Come on.
But see, George, they don't care. Everybody is a target. You could be their ally today and tomorrow they will destroy you.
But we still have to have lines. That's
they
a
don't.
child, you know?
I look, I think it's perfectly fine to criticize a miscasting.
I would criticize Disney
miscasting,
because I've seen it. I understand that part, but what I'm saying is, like, I've taken issues with who they've cast with different characters, even very young characters, when they swap them in such a way that doesn't make sense.
Right.
So to me, that's fair. It's just I find it hypocritical in this case that they're doing it so blatantly. Now, attacking the actor in any case, I think, is wrong because they didn't choose it. They didn't create the situation.
Right. Yeah. They just won the role, and that's good for them, man.
I never got why you had attacked that. Yeah, because they got the role. They didn't.
You know, and a kid, like she was so happy when she got this role and they destroyed her, man. It messed up. It is really messed up.
The very first time I ever heard anything like this about kids being attacked for being the wrong ethnicity was Hairspray, the remake, when the young girl got that one because they were initially thinking it was going to go to an African-American girl. But it came down to the two of them, and then the I don't know her name, I don't know if she's still acting, but the big girl who ended up getting the role,
right?
Yeah, she got it, and I remember she getting a lot of slack over that because they were like, "Oh, you're taking away the role." But that's the first time that I can remember this. But with this America Chavez thing, it just seems to be that there's like 10 times as many people on her now about it.
Well, Tim Drake,
what's she supposed to do?
The new Tim Drake actor did get criticism. I don't know how old he is, but he's a kid. And
yeah,
he didn't personally, but people took issue with the character cast.
Yeah, but not him. Yeah, exactly.
But like this doesn't bother anybody. Marissa Tomei wanted Aunt May to have a girlfriend. Aunt May, Uncle Ben. Like all of a sudden she decides, you know what? I'm a lesbian now. Like maybe they swung. We don't know anymore because she wanted her to have a girlfriend. Like, do you realize the love of Uncle Ben and Aunt May like lives throughout the rest of her life? And I know they made her younger, but that connection they had was powerful. The guilt that Peter felt because of that death is powerful. And we're going to like, after Happy, they're going to throw in a chick too. Like it's fucking ridiculous.
They're trying to fix the character.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. She can't be straight.
Can't be straight.
See,
no.
That's what we're like. That's what is happening to all of these IPs at the moment.
Everything. Right.
Everything that we loved and everything that we loved about those things is now gone. It's now like a reset. They're honestly wanting to reset it and shroud it in today's politics. And the problem with doing that is that you actually place that entertainment in a time capsule, right? Where when the pendulum swings down the track, everything from Ghostbusters 2016 up until now is going to be viewed as fucking shit.
Right.
In 20 years' time.
Right. I'm going to have to explain to my children the crap I had to watch.
This isn't fucking entertainment.
No.
This is Trump on TV.
Like, let me ask you guys this. Wait a minute. Real quick. Completely different IP. The Harry Potter world, where in the play they made Hermione black. Was that an issue with anyone?
To me, plays are different.
Okay.
Because
I agree.
But it is part of continuity. It's part of the canon. Someone said, which I thought was ridiculous, but go ahead. Plays are different.
The author did come out and say, well, she could be black, but you wrote her white. So
right.
That didn't make, unless you're saying she's very light skinned. I don't know.
Don't say her name. Just call her the author. That's what we got to do now.
That's the author virtue signaling. And that's her own problem.
Right? But she's still someone who never usually does.
Because if you see George Lucas, now we all know George Lucas can't really speak about what he wants, like say what he wants to really say, but there's been enough signs to show that he knows that what they're doing now isn't his story, isn't his Star Wars.
Right. It's so messed up, man. Everything is so like. Yeah. How can you even say that in a sentence, though?
But her skin color, like she's mentioned her. If you don't want a character to be typed as a particular color, then don't write them as a particular color. But she did make her white skinned.
Yeah, I swear she did. Like I know people are like they only said her teeth and her hair. I'm like,
no, they like people took pictures of the book page.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Where she describes her as having white skin.
Yeah, right. So
yeah, because her wording was, I could have wrote her as well. I didn't write her with a specific race in mind. She could have been a black kid because I didn't put any racial politics or any racial stereotypes or anything in there. It could be she could have been Asian because we never mentioned anything about her heritage or her lineage like that when it came to the first book.
But she would still, even if that's the case, which I mean, I guess if she's only described by skin color, you could argue that, but she would still look a certain way. Right. Like she wouldn't be dark skinned.
No,
because she's described as being pale.
Yeah. She was. Oh, I think they used the word fair, and that's where the contention was because
no, she used the word white.
She used the word okay.
Yeah, no, she did. And
the biggest example of what they're doing is Snow White.
Right. One of the big ones. One of the big ones.
That one I disagree with everybody in the community on, but go ahead.
That's a complete destruction of the word Snow White, the exact title of what it is.
Yep, her skin is fair.
I disagree with people with that one.
I think it's called Snow Adjacent.
But here's the problem: this girl is not dark skinned. Like I get not. That. She's a human.
What if it's called Snow
European. Yellow? She's not yellow.
Snow
she's
cinnamon
your color.
Yeah, you don't want to.
I can write my name in the
Snow Sicilian. Snow Sicilian. Hey, Snow White.
No, Snow Sicilian.
They
should just cast an Asian woman and call her Snow Yellow.
So Culture Casino.
If she cast an Asian woman, she probably would have had perfectly white skin.
Ryan's such a racist.
He's so racist. Acid Rain, we'll call her. Culture Casino for $5 says Scott is playing a straight man with working testicles every day. He's a great actor. He even pretends he's from New England. Yeah, even though you make all my openings look like I'm from Louisiana. I don't know why.
Where's the chowder?
I mean, have you guys ever seen the opening? If you've never seen my show, Going Spork Deep, this is the opening. I'm going to show you. This is what he thinks New England is. Hold on. Where's the opening to Spork Deep is right. Spork Deep, right here. For you Australians, this is not New England. Okay, steak is.
The music.
Crawdads? No.
That's a little Louisiana, a little Texas.
Right? That is definitely not New England. That is not.
I mean, Texas, New England, it's all America. So.
No, it's not.
America. No. You gotta love it.
There's America and then there's us down here.
Okay, so there's one more story I definitely had to touch. So I did everything in my description, which is crazy. I am a great actor. See, you're right. And I wrote that with my mind. Where is it? Is Walt Disney Company promises to create more LGBTQ plus content as activists attempt to coerce them to stop Florida passing a bill preventing gender identity instruction through third grade. Mm-hmm. What is this actual bill talking about? Do you know, Jane?
Yeah, so basically what they just said, they're prohibiting teachers from teaching in an age inappropriate manner sexuality to children under third grade, under that particular grade.
Yeah, I think the correct thing was under 8 was what they were looking for, but they couldn't discriminate on age, so they had to go to a year.
Grade. Yeah, because you could be 14 and in third grade.
So
it happens.
This sounds like it's kind of a good thing,
right?
It is a good
why
thing.
Are we talking about sexuality with third graders?
No, I when I first read that, I thought that they passed a bill that they could like that they're supposed to. Sorry, I read it completely wrong.
Not Florida,
this
my
is a
friend.
good thing. This is a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because you should be teaching them math and science and things like that.
History, actual history.
What Walt Disney is doing is saying, F you, we're going to make super gay characters for kids shows and kids movies. I mean, that's pretty much what they're trying to say here.
They're already these studios have already started. Look at
Josh Gad.
What's his name? Gozo?
Yeah, Josh Gad in Beauty and the Beast. Is that what you're talking about?
No, the Muppets. Didn't he turn into
Gonzo?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Turn into a fucking Gonzarella.
Well, he's
But they're already doing this shit for kids, and that I fucking hate. I don't have kids. I got nieces and nephews. I'd love to have kids, but like, to have these kids, like I know from my childhood, a lot of what I watched as a kid was very impressionable upon me.
Right.
You know, you watched your cartoons and
changes
stuff like
everything.
that, but there were always like these messages, and when you go back and you watch them,
right,
there's always messages in there.
Yeah, but see, when I was a kid, it was buy these toys. Now it's changed a lot.
Right, it was a commercial message, not an agenda-based social message.
Right,
but there were always like lessons, even like Sesame Street. Sesame Street. Today's show is brought to you by the letter C for cunt.
I love what.
Like,
but they would teach you to be kind.
We're going to go and tell a story through the square window today. Like, there was always these teaching things.
It needs to be the arch window, Ryan. I get it right.
But it wasn't virtue signaling like sexuality or racism or anything like that, which is what they are doing now. Because apparently we're so ingrained in racism that and sexism and misogyny.
Yep.
Our history was built on racism. Our history was built on misogyny.
Right.
Right.
That's all it is.
Such bullshit.
And you know what? You're welcome. Mag says Rhino is right. It's a reset of entertainment. A great one. Get what she said there, people? They are deconstructing on purpose. And that is absolutely true. It's socially engineered.
That's what it is. They're socially engineering starting because it wasn't working with the adults. They figure they'll go after the kids now.
Yep. Because you got to get them young.
Free will.
You got to get them young. If you need rescuing, just say, I believe Louisiana is the Pelican state. Oh, God. Is that true?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So let's just see what Walt Disney plans on doing. So,
unless they're getting LaFell to gorge on Gaston's throbbing member, I don't think anyone's going to be happy.
Well, they were mad because apparently this major corporation is donating to politicians.
Oh,
including
no.
Politicians who are behind this.
Shocker. Scott Maxwell in the Orlando Sentinel declared Walt Disney World is a prime example. The park preach inclusion in their marketing campaign, but Disney has given money to every single sponsor and co-sponsor of this year's infamous Don't Say Gay bill.
They've given money to every single person who ran for office.
I mean, I just think it's fucking ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. They will give it to the Democrats and the Republicans because no matter who wins, they want to get their shit passed through. They want to get less tax. I mean, it's stupid.
They got their own agendas. Everyone's got their own agenda.
Okay. What's up, Culture?
Well, no, I'm just going to set this straight. Look, the way Disney operates, and at least with their bigwigs, is they actually donate normally to a PAC, a political action committee. That PAC for Disney is divided equally in half between Republican and Democrat candidates. So they give with both hands to both sides. The most recent CEO, Uncle Bob Iger, before Chapek got in there, was very heavily weighted onto the big D side of things. And so he personally gave money to Democrat candidates and causes, whereas Chapek doesn't really do that. He keeps it to himself, and he's donated to both sides of the aisle. So it's a very strange thing. And again, the terminology.
It's not, though. It's not strange. This is what you do if you own a business like this. This is in your interest. Put money in the pockets of both candidates so that your corporation can get benefits from it.
You are 100% right.
Kind of like Capone.
That's not what's strange. That's not what I was saying was strange, Jane, or anyone else. What I was saying was the strange thing here is that they're focusing on this because corporations always give with both hands to each side. That is a consistent thing. And the terminology they came up with here, the don't say, flay, that is a media driven slogan. That is not the name of the bill at all. And it's also not even accurate. All they're trying to do is limit the exposure to these kind of things, this subject matter, to at least after you're done with the third fucking grade.
Right.
That's it.
It's that
third grade. My kid is going to be in third grade next year.
And how old are you in third grade usually? What's
like 8 years old.
Wow, what a time to start teaching,
sexuality. Not even like lessons. Organs, but sexuality. Like, this is a penis. It goes on people that have penises, because you can't say man anymore.
This is a female penis.
At the age of 8, all you know that your penis does is piss.
Yes. And sometimes moves a little bit when you see, the broad from Aladdin.
Yeah.
Or when you watch Blue Lagoon as a child, when your parents said you're not allowed to.
Yes. Sister, brother love. What?
They want to teach that sort of thing, that you can be male or female and have one. Like, this is just insane.
Yeah, as they're basically saying, suck the female penis, you bitch.
We laugh about that, right? I mean, it's
disturbing.
And it is.
I wasn't laughing; it was a mouthful.
Hey guys, George. Oh God! On that note, George has to bounce out. I love you, George.
Thank you for having me on.
Hey, when are you dropping your video, and what is it about again for tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning it's at 7 a.m. It actually comes out, and it's on. It's a Lord of the Rings video right before my Batman review comes out, and it is on some leaks that they've had and how they're trying to change to poison Tolkien's lore.
Well, can I say to you, George, before you go, I am so happy for you. Like, jealous was the word that wanted to come out. I'm so happy for you on how great your videos are doing and how quickly you're growing, dude. You literally, your videos show me what I am doing wrong, and will probably keep doing wrong because I'm pig-headed, but I appreciate them. You're up there with just some guy on how the quality of your video.
Thank you.
And I mean that.
No, his videos are like mini documentaries.
I love them.
I love them. Wow, Jane, that's an honor, because I love all of you. I think all of y'all are brilliant. I never think I'm doing anything right. Literally, I worry
and that's why you're so good. That's why you're so good. See, I think I'm doing everything right, and I suck. So we're like the yin and the yang, brother.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, George, I'm sorry I didn't get to hang out with you longer, man. You got to come back on a Sunday show, will you please?
Anytime you want. I just need to know.
Oh, guarding my panel again.
No, and not only look, Scott, you should come on a Sunday show.
I'll make it.
All of you.
I know I am.
I hate all of you.
I love you though.
But
thanks, George.
George, I'm going to be in Texas in the middle of the month, and for those of you in the chat, I'm going to be in Texas. I'm going to give everybody the dates that I'm going to be available and the date I'd like to meet everybody. Because I mean, I am all about I'm going to be in San Antonio on the Riverwalk, and we can just hang out and do dumb stuff. It'll be a good time.
Promise you. Stuff. It's always good stuff.
All right.
All right, George. Thank you, brother.
Love you, man. Love you.
All right, everybody. Comics chat for $1.99. Yes. Great channel, guys. Speaks his mind and sticks to his guns, and that's why I love him. What's up, panelists? This topic is getting raunchy. Welcome to the show. Thank you, brother. Thank you for always supporting the channel.
Danny's awesome.
Scott is a lesbian for George. I thought that was going to say Scott is a lesbian George, because my testicles don't work. Okay, so
oh no,
yeah, but let's all remember, Disney's going to make a lot more things gay, because Florida doesn't want you talking to 8-year-olds about gay things.
They're just going to virtue signal and have something in the background. Like, did you see that girl? She touched someone else on the leg, and that'll be it.
Right.
They
or
won't
like
commit to anything.
Like the Little Mermaid that has a penis in the castle.
Yeah. That's what it'll be like.
You never saw that? Hold on, I'll find the picture. Little Mermaid.
You know there's a C in that word, right?
Penis?
No, picture.
Yeah, picture.
Picture.
Yeah, P-I-S-H.
Sorry, dude. I'm from outside of New York and Connecticut. My bad, dude, that I say it like that.
You're from New England.
Leave the Hobbit alone.
We say pitcher in the South.
See?
Yeah, except you guys are talking about a pitch as sweet tea.
All right, hold on.
I thought
I'm finding
that was
the
just
image.
a jar full of piss. That's what Superman taught me.
Jar full of piss.
Lord.
All right, here we go. I'm going to show you guys this. This was in one of the original. I remember VHS. I believe had this.
You're talking about the VHS cover for
Yes.
Little Mermaid. Yeah, I've seen that before.
With the penis.
Yeah, I've seen the peen.
Oh yeah.
I mean that there is no mistaking.
Did you see
that's
the
a
penis
shaft
on the erection on the priest in the Little Mermaid?
Yes, when he's marrying them or
when
something.
He's marrying them and he's got this little erection thing like
yes,
poking
let's
out.
look at Little Mermaid.
And then there was when Simba flops down.
Sometimes.
When Simba flops down on the things and the dust all floats up that Rafiki grabs. Right when the dust floats up.
Why do I feel like both Scott and Rhino are turning into John Campia looking for
bulges? There's his bulge. There's his look. It's circled. They're trying to tell you it's his knees, but they want you to see it's his bulge.
They always.
There's another one too. In Aladdin. When Simba. When
Simba in Aladdin. Great movie.
No. What's the lion?
I love that one.
Simba was in Aladdin.
Raja.
Raja.
When Raja's like going after Aladdin at the balcony.
Yeah.
It's off camera, but he says good teenagers take off their clothes.
Is that what he's? I know he says take off your clothes. I just didn't realize he said good teenagers.
Yeah. Arabian nights like Arabian days.
Yeah, I remember all of that controversy.
More often than not are hotter than hot in so many ways.
Okay, can I ask you a question? Did Mad Martigan burn himself, Culture?
He did. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was terrible. I feel so bad for him.
I mean, he already burned himself a lot. So.
No, he didn't do that. That
was the terrorist.
It was an IED thing. Yeah. No, he legitimately hurt his hands. I feel so bad for the dude. It's like, I hope he's okay. I mean, it was like during the show. I'm like, and he's such a pro. He's like, we're just gonna rush through this, and then I'm probably gonna go, to the hospital and have him try to recover my skin.
I think it was just God punishing him.
He burned himself pretty badly. He reached into the oven. Well, I'm not even. It just wasn't great. I feel bad. I like legit feel bad. So does Grant. So
yeah, Soul Assassin, Sporks and Rhino know where all the dick pics are by memory. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
That's not okay. That is
they're cartoon dicks.
Like this. I think this controversy shit came out when I was like 14, 15.
Yeah.
It was like, man, my whole family. We were like, we had all of them on DVD. We were like, let's get this one out and see if we can find it.
You went looking for dick.
Man, we were looking for the sex
it's a common thing to do in Melbourne with your family.
Wow, we were just.
That's like Sunsworn. There's a hidden dick right there. You got to buy it to find it, though. Buy Sunsworn.
What? Yeah, well, that's true.
Bonds. Miriam put a bulge.
There is nothing hidden.
There's a bulge in her. Yeah, you gotta buy it to see the bulge.
Yeah, but there's nothing hidden in those. They are out there for you to see. By the way, so is Vinny Arts. Have you seen Vinny's stuff, man?
Yes.
Oh,
yes. Fucking doing great work right now. Mads is my OC bro hero. Oh wow, that hurt.
Yeah. Why? Yeah. Are you guys gonna do that show again or no?
Yeah, when he doesn't burn himself.
Why did he burn himself exactly?
Because he didn't want to do the show tonight with me. That's good because I got to work tomorrow morning.
I think he's doing another show right now.
He's a dick. Okay. Thank you everybody for coming tonight. We're going to wrap it up. It's been over 2 hours and I have to go into work in the morning if I wake up. Dude, Rhino, just become a part of the panel, dude, because I believe George, Mark C, George and Jane should always be on the show with these two guys too, and we'll get rid of Mad.
Can I suggest you let Jane talk more?
That's the problem with me being on the panel is no one gets to talk more. If
you and George are like worse than me, which is amazing.
It is a little bit hard. It's Sunday afternoon for me. I've got another stream that I've got in an hour, pretty much, over on Open Airlock Policy. So if anybody wants to come over there,
he's doing great. Plus, I love his extended booty verse. Those are my favorite parts of the day.
Sorry, Ron, I didn't catch the channel name, mate. Who are you going to be on?
Open Airlock Policy.
Oh, yeah, good stuff.
Right, Tim from Open Airlock Policy. So I'm going to be over there in an hour and a half, something like that.
You're always invited, man.
But yeah, like always send a link. If I'm free, I'm more than happy to come on. I think I came on last week as well.
Yep. It's been great, man.
Now that video's dropped, can I share with you another little part of the video?
Yes, please.
Before we go?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. We'll go out on the video.
Okay. So just quickly, I asked Ryan Kennel to give us a little cameo for this one. So
racist.
This is where his cameo comes in. Please confirm that there is sound. Now, I don't have a problem with Luke teaching a lesson about allowing the Force to flow through you, but in the context of what's happening here, it really does feel like they're going for this. Grogu goes on to do another pathetic jump, and Luke says,
"You're trying too hard. Don't try. Do."
First of all, it really does feel like they're trying to throw in every main training line Yoda said in Empire.
Do or do not. There is no try.
But Luke missed one very important element of this lesson, and that is the do not. You can either do or do not. There is no try. They tried to put a smart little twist on it. If you're going to plagiarize the OT, you may as well do it properly. You've already come this far.
Size matters not. You're trying too hard.
That's what I tell every woman.
You won't get a copyright claim,
That's
just
it.
so you know.
Grogu
doesn't even try again. And Luke just says,
"Come on, I want to show you something."
Lessons, or should I say lines, are just thrown out there and that's it. It doesn't even feel like any of these lessons have been duplicated by Grogu. Once again, it's all there just for this.
I'm shook!
Oh my
what
gosh.
What is this episode? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Next, we need to pretend we're showing them how amazing Luke Skywalker is. Any ideas?
I think I know just what we need.
The hour's approaching to give. You've got to reach your prime. That's when you need to put yourself to the test and show us the passage of time.
Montage. Yeah.
Luke then goes, anyway, you got to watch the rest.
Fucking awesome,
He's got two other spots. You got two other.
Is this out?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, share the link in the chat and the private chat. I'm watching that right after this.
Give me 1 second.
I wonder why they tried to redo the quote instead of just having the exact quote.
Right. Well, because he's...
Yeah, I know.
The backwards speak, I think. But the problem is, Rhino, you pointed out perfectly. He uses one of the most powerful lines in the training and then is like, hey, I want to show you something. It's my dick.
Man,
what?
Honestly, it starts off a little bit slow. There's about 3 minutes of an audio book, but it's very relevant to the entire video, so it's kind of got to be in there. I love that stuff,
dude.
I wanted to shorten it, but I couldn't. I really want to get a few more eyes on this because it is a 26-minute video. It took me over 30 hours to edit. And it's currently, it's not doing too bad. It's currently sitting at 245 views.
Yeah, dude, killing it. From my point of view, at least. I will put that.
Yeah,
link.
share
it.
There is also another video like that on Boba Fett that I dropped a couple of weeks prior.
I watched that one.
Boba Fett one's really good.
Yeah, I watched that one. It is so true. But yeah, drop it, guys. Please check out his video. Check out the Cultural Review tomorrow. Jane, all of Jane's stuff rocks. Mr. Grant Gregory edits.
I do interviews and that as well.
I was just about to say, when do you do the interviews? Usually drop that during my Monday show.
So Quarter Black Garrett will be we drop just during the beginning of Scott's show, so make sure you check that out first before you go over to the stream. It's only a short hour thing. Then come over and check on Scott's.
God, you get so many great guys on your show. Thanks for having them on
bringing
the
them over
dump.
here. We appreciate.
I could get nobody on my show, but that's all right. I still got Gary.
You're a nobody, just like me.
You got Gary on.
Gary's my one freaking unicorn.
Am I chopped liver? The fuck?
Well, you're no Gary. God, you're like the.
He has a beard.
Yeah.
You got Jay on.
Yeah, Jay. Well, yeah. Jane. Jay. Yeah, Jay.
I put the link in the chat, but I'm not a mod, so I don't know.
Nerd cookies.
We need more nerd cookies.
We need a lot of nerd
Sorry,
cookies.
Scott. I put the link in the chat, but I'm not a mod, so I don't know if it showed up.
Oh, okay. Put it in the private chat. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, shout it out.
Wait a minute. Let me make you a mod right now too, because I have that power.
There you go.
Pretty cool like that.
You've got the power. You've got the might.
Is now.
You know
Yes.
you can
Thank
do
you
it.
for having me on. And,
Of course, dude.
Yeah.
Of course.
Awesome. Everyone, please come over and subscribe.
Jane, anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah, I did recently drop a video review of a new series on Apple TV called Severance.
Oh yeah, how is that
It's
show?
Good. If you're looking for some good television, that's it.
I saw that and I was like, I gotta find, because I don't have. Well, I might have Apple. I don't know how many freaking streaming services we own now.
Nobody knows what they.
It's ridiculous. It's way more than cable. It's way more than cable. All right, everybody, thank you for coming out. The chat, you guys were on fire tonight. Seriously, thank you so much, guys. You guys were amazing. Also to my channel members, I can't do it without you guys. So thank you so much for all the support you've been giving me. I think we might be at 50 members now. What's up?
That's fucking awesome.
No, I'm proud of you, Scott, and you haven't asked me to fix it lately, so I'm excited.
No, I don't, but I think we might have to. So thanks everybody and have a great night.
Have a good one.
Mole, mole.
You're good at that shot stuff.
Thank you. I've been working out.
Yeah, I think that thing in your arm's growing.
Yeah, it's cancerous, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
but you know, what are you going to do?
Must be cancerous.
I hide Twinkie in my fupa. Later, everybody.